Qualifier. I'm your spray-by-spray host, Jordan Kent, and as always, two of the finest Splatalists from all of Inkopolis joining me. You know them, you love them. We have 9, and it's Rissa, not Risa. Make sure you get that right the first time. She's back in the saddle with us once again. We're going to have a lot of exciting action taking place. We'll get a chance to meet the teams here in just a second and go through the rules. But 9, it's sizzle season, baby. We got a bunch of updates and changes to this game right now that already in just a couple days in this new meta you've seen already.
Yeah, the battles are hotter than ever, and Sizzle Season dropped earlier this week. So to say that the teams were in a hurry to create new compositions, figure out what they want to play would be an understatement. But they've got some surprises cooked up today, and they were a little more tight-lipped in telling me what they were going to play here. The information cannot leave the safeguard.
We're just going to react to whatever they do and say,
we're going to see some new weapons and some new loadouts take place that have the potential to reshape this new meta in Sizzle Season.
Oh,
absolutely.
This is
Whether it's going to be weapons that have been nerfed,
tomorrow,
that
like
we'll
they
see
say,
come into
we're
the
gonna
meta,
be watching
or leave the meta, or the new weapons
qualify.
like the S-Blast, the new Tetras, the new
It's really,
Viper.
really cool.
We're
Thank
going
you
to
so
see a
much
lot
for
of those
watching.
changes
I'll be
coming up
here
today when we
for a
move
while.
forward through these matches.
Please
Looks
add
like
me
it'll
on
be a
my new
little less
Rumble
crab
channel. I need
tank on
5
menu,
followers in order to
potentially.
live
Let's go
stream
ahead
in
and check
Rumble.
out
I just need
the
5
bracket and
people
take
and
a
they will
look at our
let me
teams that are
live
going to be
stream.
taking
So I
center
hope that you
stage,
let
some
me with
familiar
us.
faces,
Help me
and
with that.
also a new
Ooh,
squad
let's see the
joining us.
brackets.
But 9, let's start with you. The two powerhouses, Jackpot and Starburst. What do you see from them?
Oh, it's going to be an absolute blast here. The two top teams in North American Splatoon, and it's not really up for debate here. Meeting here in our first match, thankfully, because of our losers bracket, it does not mean that one of these teams won't be qualifying, but
Look at these teams.
Starburst had not lost a set to a team outside of
never have
Japan for
lost.
the
These people
entirety
always win.
of Splatoon 3, and just last month, Jackpot was able to beat them, knock them out in a long league format here. Jackpot has to be feeling great. Same roster that they've been running the entirety of the game, and Starburst, look, at this point, you know them, you love them, you know what they're bringing, Ice, Bagel, Bran, but Kyo coming in instead of Biscuit. It's always nice when you can pull one of the best players in all of Splatoon's history in as your sub.
Yeah, pretty nice alternative right there for sure. And then Rissa, Last Resort, Duck Gang. A couple of teams where you've got a fan favorite and also a team that might be surprising some people here today.
Welcome.
Yeah, absolutely.
Welcome,
so
my brother
Last
Juju.
Resort, of course, is going to be Chara's team, a fan favorite there, and we get to see them firsthand here on the stream, which I'm really excited to see them here on this
I'm
big
really
stage.
excited. I don't know
and
if you
against
guys are excited.
Duck Gang is
I wasn't
formerly a
planning
team
on being
called
here
Tempest.
Sunday,
It's made up
but
of
I
the same
realized that
members,
this
and they've actually
Qualifiers is
had a lot of
happening,
big
and it's like,
upsets previously when they were playing
gotta
together
watch
as
that. I've been
team
missing it
Tempest.
for a while,
So,
you know, like,
moving forward against a team like Last Resort,
I look
is
forward
this going to
to
be
watch
another
new
one of those
techniques to
situations where
Bredas.
they
I
cause
need
another
that.
upset coming into this as an underdog?
All right, Jackpot, Starburst, Last Resort, and Duck Gang
Hope
all
everyone's
getting a
doing
chance
okay.
to face off for our 2 qualifying spots. And let's go ahead and check out the rules and the prizes as well, too. But let's check out these top 4 rounds, best of 5. It's going to be higher seed will choose the mode, lower seed will choose the stage, and after the first game, the winning team will then choose the mode, the losing team will choose the stage. There are your 4 game modes. You're very familiar with them: Clan Blitz, Tower Control, Splat Zones, Rainmaker. A mode cannot be chosen more than 2 times during the match, and you have to go through all 4 before you repeat. So as much as 9 would love to do back-to-back Rainmakers, you got to circle all the way through. And then you've got your 7 stages. Stages can only be played once, but what's nice is you've got 7 stages and a best-of-5 format, so we'll see some changes right there. But what are these teams getting a chance to compete for? Well, our top 2 winners, our 2 grand prize winners, will get an entry and a trip to the Splatoon 3 Championship 2023. And 9, we had a chance to call the North American Championship. These are once-in-a-lifetime trips and something that all these teams are very excited to compete for.
Boy, do I wish
There's
you
only
was
one North
doing
American
that.
Championship at a time,
Hello,
right?
Breda,
And that's what
UG.
makes it so important here. These teams play for
I
an
wish I had,
immense
like,
amount
my
of pride
team
here,
all
winning
together
major
with my
tournaments,
Breda,
winning
UG, or
qualifiers.
dream
It's
team
all
talking
nice,
about
but
that,
again,
having
they have to
dreams
get a North
of their
American
goals.
Championship if they really want to
Maybe
put
we
themselves
can-
in
we
the
can
upper echelon.
participate
And the
next year,
legends, the
Bredas.
Mount Rushmore of Splatoon, they're all gunning for it and always have been.
I think you mean the Mount Bomb Rushmore, but anyway, I'm just going to put it. You put it right there on the tee for me here tonight. So,
We're gonna be watching
Marissa, we've
this.
got Splat Zones and Hagglefish Market. There was going to be more strategy we were going to get to, but these teams are ready to roll. You look at this combination
gonna start
of
celebrating
stage
us.
and mode here. What stands out to you about Splat Zones on Hagglefish Market?
when talking about this map and mode in particular, I always like to say it's a really good neutral starting point where it's a flatter map. The zone is this big zone right in the middle of the map, so you have a lot of leeway to figure out what the other team is playing, how you want to play against them, and take this as that starting point to figure out if there's anything you need to do moving forward in the next matches against the team you're against.
And in Hagglefish Market here, 9, how quickly are you going to want to advance forward, and how far do you want to advance once you secure that zone to try and lock the other team out?
Yeah, I think it depends on your comp. There are some weapons here, maybe the Tetra Dualies, some of the Splatana Wiper variants that are totally fine when you've got a little bit of control running right forward and play your order of operations. Is there a target on the opposing team that's about to build up their special? If so, you trade with that player. You are okay with a trade in that scenario, but it's all about the context, simply making sure you don't dive too far forward until the opportunity shows.
I hope everyone
there is the
enjoys
guitar
this
riff we
qualifiers.
know and love. It's Splat Zones, Hagglefish Market, between two of the top 2 teams in North America, Jackpot and Starburst. We get this thing kicked off with a heavyweight matchup, and taking a look at the loadouts here, 9, what stands out?
2 ballpoint Splatlings on one team. Goodness gracious, this is such an intriguing piece here. Leafy and Q, both incredibly strong Splatling players, but to go with 2 backlines on the ballpoint, they are really going to be trying to build up the Inkjets, and with 2 players on their team already going down, well, this is what they give up if they opt to go with 2 backline.
Yeah, Rissa, Starburst really claiming the zone and taking an early advantage, and now in this situation, what do you see from them as far as trying to lock out Jackpot?
You can see that they have specials ready. If you look at the top right of the screen, they have consistently had specials ready since the beginning of this, using that Inkjet to start this out, using these tri-strikes. They still have a crab ready too. They are just chaining these specials to just make sure that they stop Jackpot from getting to the zone.
And Jackpot
Bredas, I'll be
able
back
to get
tomorrow
things
to
to a
play
bit of a
special
draw, but all of a sudden
free
Starburst
Sucre
comes
event. I
right
hope that you
back.
join
There's a
us.
trade 3 and 3 on the map, but at this
Look at
point,
this.
Jackpot slight advantage here, 9. Here's their opportunity.
Yeah, and an
finally
opportunity they're
do
going to have to
some
take advantage of
control.
here. This is a true lockout scenario. There's no staggered spawn. Brand is going to come in with the crab tank to try to make some room for him, and actually 2 people do go down. The third narrowly able to jump away. Q is there as well. Jared lands and immediately crabs. That happened so quick we didn't really even get to see what took them out. I thought that was a golden opportunity for Jackpot, but credit to Starburst. They held them through.
Yeah, had the crab ready to go, but ended up getting splatted, and now Starburst had control, but both teams wrestling forward, and Jackpot takes it back, and all of a sudden, Rissa, we're seeing Jackpot turn the tables on the aggression.
Jackpot here using that double Inkjet like 9 highlighted there to make sure that they push forward, waited for those Inkjets, and then push forward using those Inkjets. But in doing so, they used both of those Inkjets, and Starburst was able to wait a second and wait for those Inkjets to be over, and now Starburst once again is in control of the zone.
Yeah, really good point, Rissa, because 9, during that little situation, you had a 4-1 on the map for Starburst, gave him a chance to really get into position.
Yeah, and Kill going on the big flank there. You can understand why Jackpot was able to take the zone so quick. Someone was sharking and very patient, understanding the assignment, and now they're already stacking some more points here. These are a lot of specials that are going to go at the zone. They managed to hold on to it, surprisingly, through all of this. Now finally do let it go, but you'll note nobody went down in that exchange, so it's going to be another scramble situation before this zone gets flipped back.
Yeah, a bit of a stalemate at this point. Both teams with the penalty. Starburst with that zone. That penalty starting to dwindle down, but the numbers on the map favor Jackpot for a moment, and this really feels like a pivotal time here, Rissa, because if Starburst can hang on here, they're going to start to build a really nice lead.
They are, you can see at the in the top left of the screen, they only have that 1 penalty point, and now that they've capped the zone again, they have no more penalty points. They are continuing to count down their remaining lead all the way to 22-21, and they are just really solidifying that. But Jackpot able to follow up and at least cap the zone, now giving 40 penalty points over to Starburst.
Jackpot, they are resilient. They really haven't yielded huge gains in this score here ever since the beginning, but now Jackpot's starting to advance here, 9. And what do they have to keep in mind, because we know how quickly Starburst can strike?
Well, what I was about to say is they're going to have to keep in mind where they're approaching from. Leafy took a quick dive forward, and we have Madness here doing much the same. If they're able to get value out of this push up, they could already take this lead back, and maybe some more. That's 2 down, 3 down. It's just Kill on the bucket on the other side. A wipeout. They are most certainly going to lose this lead, and they might lose a whole lot more.
Jackpot crashing out at this moment
Not
here,
good for
Rissa, and all of a
these
sudden,
purple teams.
courtesy of that wipeout, Jackpot has seized the lead with just over a minute left here. Now it's Starburst. How does Starburst try to wrestle back this lead?
Starburst, they know that they just need to
I
push
actually
forward
don't have
and
a favorite
cap the
Yuji
zone. You can
because
see they tried to use that crab there
at
at the
least
last possible
I
second
I
to
love
push
everyone
forward through that to cap
equally.
the
I
zone
want
to at
anybody
least stay
to
in
win.
this, but
I
they were
just
not able to do so. Jackpot just knew they needed to paint the
reading
zone in
stats,
order to
the
win that. They
Starburst
sat back,
always
painted the
wins,
zone,
and
and won that first
somebody
game.
else wins.
So
That's all.
Jackpot, after trailing for the majority of that game, was really able to go deep into the spawn of Starburst and create some havoc. And 9, we saw it. As soon as you saw 3 members of Starburst go down, you felt like that's when Jackpot took full control of that game.
Yeah, and it was a lot closer of a game than it looked like for part of it. Jordan, we talked so much about getting the first control of the splat zone. You don't have any penalty to chew through, right? So you don't have to hold it nearly as long to get that big score. They'd kind of traded it back and forth at that point.
They're really
All it
good,
took was the
everyone
one
has like a
opening, and
2000
Jackpot, maybe
something
more so
powers.
than any other team, is so good at disguising who's actually diving all the way in. Leafy was the first one to dive in. That was the seen threat, but it was really just to get Madness in position with that slosher to be the actual threat in your spawn. You don't know who or where to shoot. Makes it that much more
That was
difficult even for a
crazy.
team like Starburst.
And
I
Rissa,
don't think I
you
learned
called it
anything,
out,
brothers, because I keep paying
Madness
attention
switching
and
from
I'm
the
like,
sloshing
okay, let's see
machine to the
what do
slosher
these
was going to
people
be
do
just
that
as
I don't.
effective, and we saw right there, especially from the
I
lower
don't
ground,
see
some
anything
really
different.
important splats down the
I
stretch of
just
that game.
gotta hide
Yeah,
better.
right before
I
this,
think
we
I
had
just don't
talked a
hide
little bit
enough.
about how sloshing machine players have been switching over to the regular slosher with this new sizzle season. So we got to see that perfectly from Madness's point of view, able to get under those ledges, slosh over them, and hold a lot of space with that.
Well, we know it's Rainmaker coming up next. We'll find out what stage it is here in just a moment.
Rainmaker
but
next.
9 with Rainmaker, of course, you've got multiple checkpoints. This is a game where you can dunk on someone very quickly here. What are we seeing in the most recent iterations of this meta as far as what teams are trying to do here with Rainmaker?
Well, for those of you out there who are a fan of a nice soda, will say the Tacticooler and the NZAP 85 have maybe been the biggest winners of this most recent patch, and it's for good reason. The duration of the Tacticooler was buffed by 2 whole seconds, which is a ton in a game like this, and the NZAP 85 only needing 180 points to build that specials means that you can cycle Tacticooler after Tacticooler after Tacticooler and continue to go in and fight and attack. And it's kind of created this interesting dynamic of these teams who will play Rainmaker a little more traditional, build up your specials, your crab tanks, chip away at the opponent and take the space they give you, versus we have more chances to push than you, we have more chances to fight than you, and if you take a couple of us out, we'll be back in a snap.
Well, it's sizzle season. You got to stay hydrated, 9. That's always something to
With
keep in
soda?
mind when the sun's out and the temperature goes, you know, it's better than nothing, right? and so, Rissa, now that you have this Tacticooler that we're going to see come out quite a bit, for teams, it probably plays to their advantage to be very aggressive in those situations to make sure that while they're juiced up, that they can make the most of it.
Absolutely, like 9 said, that's going to allow you to
Right,
just
let's see what
consistently be
happens.
able to jump right
This
back
is the
into
next
the
one.
action and play really
Rainmaker.
fast. You know, Rainmaker does have those checkpoints, but you're
Let's
still going to be
see,
able to play fast once you do get those checkpoints.
All right, both teams screaming towards the middle of the map. At this point, 9, we've seen a difference in the loadout already.
Yep, only one of the teams has brought out the Tacticooler, and it will be Starburst that has done that. On the other side, though, I want to call out another big winner in this most recent
wondering,
patch.
like,
One of the new
how do they
additions, the
decide their
Rapid
weapons and
Blaster
all this
Pro
also,
Deco.
'cause
It's a mouthful
if I
to
was in
play,
the team,
but
I
it
would
is
be
a
like,
great
I
weapon
can
to
only
chip
use
away
the
at the
valleys.
opponent, and you've got a Killer Whale 5.1 to continue that sort of
Because
pressure
you know,
here.
tomorrow is
Already, though,
this
you can
Suzuka
see where the
tournament that I'm
Tacticooler
ready
comes
to
through.
lose. I
Daku's
never
going to be
use any other
piloting that
weapon.
Rapid Blaster
I
Pro
know.
Deco. It appears that they've warded
Tomorrow's
off
gonna
the
be
opponent
really
for the
tough
time
on me.
being, but we know there it is. Doesn't matter how many times you nerf it, the crab
So
tank
that means I'm not
remains.
in.
Yeah,
I'm
Daku
in,
goes
brothers.
down. That gives the advantage for Starburst momentarily.
bad,
They
but I
built
wanna
an
play.
early lead in this one. But as you continue to take a look at things right now, we've seen Jackpot here, Rissa, in this last game start off a little bit slow, then seize control. And feels like
Jackpot
once
has
they get the
control.
momentum, you've got to be really careful if you're on defense. And right now, it's a little bit of a
Dude, I was
trade as
so sure
Bagel
they were
able to pick
gonna
up the splat.
die. They didn't
Yeah,
die.
great
They had
points to bring
time
up
to
how,
throw their ice cube cone.
Jackpot so far has been really momentum based, and as we see them now
Never
get
happens
to
to
this
me.
first
That shit
checkpoint,
never happens
the
to me.
lead
I
is
always
that
die.
much closer for them, and this might be that momentum that they need here. They're just going to have to wait out the specials that we see Starburst using defensively.
Both teams have essentially made it to the other team's checkpoint, and so with 3:30 left, still plenty of game here. And now at this point here, 9, with that checkpoint done, so you don't have the red light anymore, what are teams going to try to do to really build up that score as fast as they can?
Well, yeah, they kind of sense here that any good push the opponent gets will get major points. So you're going to see them maybe throw 1 or 2 players forward to try to take out an opponent with some support from a special. And then if they aren't able to find some value immediately, they're going to sit back and try to hold mid and use their specials on the defensive side.
And .Q taking out the crustacean, going a little bit of deadliest catch there, picking up the crab splat. And so that's huge as far as maintaining Jackpot's momentum. They still trail, but those are the big plays you look for, Rissa, from Jackpot when we're getting towards the later half of the game. What can they do to really swing the momentum?
Jackpot is going to have to really figure out and play off of getting the picks on Starburst. You can see they're trying to wait and make something happen when they start getting those picks onto Starburst, but they just have to figure out how to get into mid first like they're doing now, and then get past that and get those picks. That way they can move forward safely.
Starburst just holding strong. They built that initial lead, and right now, 9, it doesn't really seem like they need to overexert themselves or play outside their game. They're going to look for their moment, but right now, just that focus on defense has served them well.
Yeah, it's tricky again because you don't want to wait back too much on your own plat. If you give up mid or just send one player over to mid, they are going to get overrun by these players on Jackpot. So they have to find a way to remain active even on the defensive side. 2 down now. Brain push forward there. Great. That's a special that's being used there by Madness. I wonder what Bagel's going to do with this Rainmaker. He might opt to sit over here, simply try to fire it and let people come back. Or if the Rainmaker gets popped in that spot, it's going to be very difficult for Jackpot to get a big, quick score off of it.
Yeah, Bagel and Kyo just sort of hanging out, two-stepping with each other, waiting for that opportunity. And there's one platform. One advantage. Here's the opportunity for Starburst as they push forward. And it is nothing but purple ink as they make their way. That's the wipeout. That has a chance to do it here. Oh, but splatted at the 14-point mark here. But Rissa, the damage has been done as Starburst able to capitalize on that wipeout.
They were able to push forward all the way to 14, and you can see they're actually still on Jackpot's plat area. And they've got 3 members down on the side of Jackpot. With only 1 member remaining, you see Starburst there tried to rush forward and grab the Rainmaker just to keep it there so it didn't reset into mid. But not quite able to do that. Jackpot still in it going into this last minute of the game.
Yeah, Rainmaker resets. Starburst in full control with just a minute left, though. It's going to give Jackpot enough time for maybe one more coordinated push. So Starburst is going to have to play some defense. Jackpot at this point going to have to be flawless if they want to try and steal this lead late in the game like they did last time.
But here
you see the crustacean defense set up there by Brand.
Thank you, my brother Emilio. Thank you so much for subscribing. I got the notification in private. Thank you,
Rita. Ready to go, and the numbers advantage feels like it's in full control for them.
Yeah, that was a wonderfully executed defense right there. They had moved a couple people up hidden in the ink
20
where they were
seconds,
going to defend,
this is it.
and had Brand sit
Purple
back on the crab tank to fire right at the Rainmaker. You were going to reach 100 damage at a certain point in that respect. So they did exactly what they needed to do. Brand, more than fine to go down in this situation. Ice has a special at the ready. Should be able to defend this thing quite well. Fly on up, take a couple people out, shoot at the Rainmaker twice, and that is the game.
That's
game. Perfectly timed ink jet to close out this one. And so Starburst will notch things even at 1 apiece. After doing a fine job of building
Starburst
advantage, and then a late push with about a minute and a half left was all that it took for Starburst to tie this thing up. And what you saw from Starburst, Rissa, was that opportunity to, again, find that one moment when you are playing with the advantage and making sure you strike at that point. They made it count when they had that wipeout.
Oh, absolutely. They had initially, gotten that lead at the beginning of the game and then able to just, I felt like they played really patiently. They didn't necessarily rush forward too much. They kind of just waited to get advantage
they had the advantage,
in the game
though.
when
It's easy
Jackpot,
to do that.
they were able to get picks onto Jackpot.
It's easy
So
to
slowly,
play patiently.
they just had the patience. They waited. And then finally, once that wipeout happened, that's when they made that really big push.
They're really in advantage, lady. I don't know.
Yeah, and it's impressive at those moments there, Nine, because there's so much back and forth, and you're wondering when things are going to break open for you, and it just requires a tremendous amount of patience in a game that is so fast-paced.
Yeah, and that's one of the other, oddly enough, benefits of Tacticooler. You say, well, how could a special like Tacticooler help you on patience? Well, it gives you more opportunities on the defensive side as well. So you can take maybe one more fight than you actually should, because even if you trade, you now win that trade. And it's that much more difficult for the opponent to keep pace with how your defense is going. If you're a team that plays with Tacticooler, you know these things, you know the timing. If you're not as familiar with Tacticooler,
I'm not sure about what she's saying, because Starburst was a bit ahead. They had a
game.
like
It's tied at
10,
1
15
apiece. We've
points.
seen splat zones. We've seen
I
rainmakers.
don't know. When
So
you're a
obviously
kid,
tower
you're like,
control will be next,
can't
as
play
we've just been
easy.
told by our
It's
wonderful
like, well,
producer.
you're less
So
nervous.
tower control
I don't
coming
know.
up next here. Obviously,
Tower
we're very
control is
familiar with
next,
that here,
bredas.
Rissa, but what are teams trying to do in tower control
I
nowadays?
hope maybe next
with all
year
the
we can
different
be in the
plethora of loadouts and
qualifiers.
weapons available to
2024.
them?
You know, that's a really good question. With the new sizzle
I
season,
wish.
it's been really interesting trying to see what teams are doing at this high of a level. And I'm actually still trying to figure it out myself. So that's why I was really excited to watch this and be able to commentate this and see what these
Me
teams
too,
are playing.
I'm also,
You know, I've heard
also
things
doing
like
the same.
blasters, you know, maybe that
Risa.
splash with the crab is still prevalent. But when we go into this, I think it's going to be fun to watch here firsthand what these teams will actually play.
And we know that it can be very intense in these tower control battles, especially between Jackpot and Starburst here. You know, it really feels like if there's an early theme developing here, 9, Starburst has really had most of the control here as we get set to head to Amami Ruins, and Jackpot has tried to take advantage of a couple of pushes here and there. What can Jackpot do to consistently stay aggressive? Because that's when it felt like they had the most success when they had splat zones in that first game.
Yeah, it's hard, right? The big M, momentum. Jackpot, maybe the most momentous team that exists in top-level Splatoon right now. I agree with what you said, Jordan. I think that Starburst has kind of controlled the pace of these games. Jackpot's simply waiting for that one opening. The nice thing about tower control, you have to make your own opening. It's part of the game. You want to be playing ahead of it here as well. So look for situations where a player on Starburst goes down either mid-special, right as they pull their special up, or they get taken out while they have full special. These players, they're always looking at the top of the screen. They know when they take out a high-priority target, and that's the moment. They're going to run forward. They're going to ask questions later, and that's when you really get to see Jackpot at their best.
Yeah, it's funny, Rissa, because as 9 pointed out, yes, you're moving ahead of the tower, but you're still locked in at a pretty slow pace as far as how that tower is moving. And so it can really limit some of those teams that like to fly ahead forward. And it feels like that team coordination and having that balance of attacking while also protecting the tower is what teams strive to find here.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, since the tower moves a bit slower than something like Rainmaker, you can move that much faster than the pace that the tower does go. So, you know, if you feed too far forward ahead of that tower, you are going to end up going down and then staggering your team. And then your team's going to have to regroup completely in mid. So maybe chaining that tower checkpoints with specials, maybe a crab, maybe a tri-strike, maybe missiles. Chaining specials like that is really going to help you just hold the tower in those spaces that you
here we go, next battle.
Tower control, Umami Ruins. Both teams tied at 1. Don't forget 2 grand prize winners. A trip to compete in the Splatoon 3 2023 championships, and these were arguably the 2 top teams coming in, Jackpot and Starburst. Now they race to the middle, and now we've got 2 Splash-O-Matics here this time, 9.
Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, you can only nerf it so many times here. The Splash-O-Matic, despite the couple of nerfs, and the Crab a couple of nerfs here, look, folks, it's still strong. The kit is synergistic. It's always going to be somewhat present. Incredible. First of all, to pick out that Bagel was even there. Then to close the deal, that's 2 down. That's 1 player stuck in a Crab tank, and the other one jumping the heck out of there. We said the momentum here. They needed 1 down to start the momentum. How's about getting 3 down?
Yeah, Jackpot coming out hot here early in this one. They get past the first checkpoint. Tower is moving. Inkjet on deck for them as they rise to the skies, and now with that bird's eye view, trying to rain down some yellow ink and apply even more pressure. And they're doing a fine job with that, Rissa, because you saw how much it just pushed Starburst back to their spawn.
And this is a good perspective of that situation where you don't want to push too far forward in front of the tower, but you still want to make sure that you are playing aggressively. Starburst finally able to at least stop the tower and stop these members from Jackpot of moving forward, and Starburst finally taking mid. So taking a breath, getting that pain in mid, and getting their specials ready for a push.
Pretty impressive opening gambit by Jackpot to take the lead, but now it's Starburst's turn. They've got a special ready to go. Crab perched up. Again, just trying to cover so much of the territory with ink. I mean, that is one of the basic fundamentals of Splatoon ever since 2015, 9, but it's huge, especially in tower control, just making sure you give your teammates room to swim around.
Well, absolutely, especially when you're going with a double blaster composition like Starburst is using. Pretty wild that we're even saying that right now, but they do have that Rapid Blaster Pro Deco, and Kyo is going to be using the good old tried and true vanilla blaster. as one already goes down and they are chasing
These
this crab
bredas
all the
on
way
roll.
away. But that
Well,
double
they
blaster
got
comp I mentioned
killed.
does need room to move around because, as we all know, the blaster's not the best at taking turf.
Yeah, it's such a good point because those Splash-O-Matics will have to work hard in overtime in order to make sure that they cover a lot of territory. But at this point, it's kind of slowed down here. Rissa, 64-41,
what's going on
Jackpot
now?
still with the advantage, and now Starburst that's got a one-player advantage on the map, and they're going to try to advance the tower here.
They are. This is that exact moment we were talking about where Starburst can play really patiently. Even though they might have a member or two go down as they're trying to get mid, they're able to just regroup really fast, don't rush things, and you can see them chaining these specials right now in order to get to this checkpoint, and they just need one more point. It's just Kyo left alive to get the lead, but Kyo just going to bubble for himself and try and hold some space, maybe wait for some teammates.
Yeah, keep that in mind because Starburst had the chance to take the lead, but because they tied and they were the second team to get to 41, they automatically get bumped back to 42. Now with 2 minutes left, a lot of time left, but 9, those are big plays. I'm shocked that somebody didn't just try to scamper onto the tower there.
Yeah, you saw that they had to split up in order to take down the members of Jackpot there. It meant that as long as one Jackpot member ended up winning that fight near the tower, that point so close yet so far away there. So sometimes spreading out your defenses, the right play at the right time.
Yeah.
See the fizzy bombs coming out as they try to empty the fridge here, and another inkjet coming out for Jackpot. They were so effective at blazing a trail the first time on their push with that. They've got all 4 members locked and loaded, but down goes one. Now it's a 3-3 situation on the map. A couple of specials coming out here. Triple ink strike coming in. That's going to back them up at the moment, but with 90 seconds left here, Rissa, it now seems like that opportunity that Starburst had might be fleeting as Jackpot now grabs the tower.
They have
keep
1
seeing
point
members
of difference.
Starburst go down on the top right of the screen. So even though they had used their specials there, use a crab, use a tri-strike to try and get into mid, Jackpot was able to just back up and utilize the paint that they had in mid to back up and made sure they waited out those specials. And now as we see, they're back on the tower and about to get more points on the board as well.
Yeah, nice little 2-for-1 special right there, 9, and that's all Jackpot needed to once again move forward.
Yeah,
and now
but
they're
he's
building their
waiting.
lead with under a minute left and all sorts of pressure coming from the top of the tower.
Yep, that's a wonderfully placed Booyah Bomb there from the sloshing machine. It's not gone, but Starburst all the way gone. A wipeout at the very end as Jackpot. A dominant display. Jordan, you called it the 2-for-1 special at the end. I cannot tell you enough how tight the margins are when teams like this play. One extra fight that is one that shouldn't be. All it takes for one of these teams to get a knockout.
You know, that's such a good point here, 9, as Jackpot now takes a 2-1 lead in this best of 5, is that you know, Rissa,
got
you
the
see
lead,
this
Bredas.
with these teams that are so
He
talented.
said 2-1.
One player can
Let's
do
see what
so
happens
much,
next.
whether or not they're splatting somebody
I'm
or
very, very
covering
excited.
the stage with ink or getting into position. When you can take down another player in a 2-for-1 situation like that, it has such a monumental impact on the game, especially when there's just 30 seconds left there.
Yeah, sure
Yeah,
is right.
absolutely. I think at this high of a level too, you know, even if you have a member down on your team, you'll see these players, they can still hold space even though they have a member down. A lot of times, if you're playing at not such a high level, teams will collapse in that situation. But teams like this, you know, we saw Jackpot there
Like
right at
my
the end.
teams.
They had a member go down here and there, but they were still holding mid. And then finally, they just got that huge push in at the end to completely KO that.
Okay, next
Coming
battle,
up
people.
next to
I
9,
want to watch
Clan
the next.
Blitz, Eeltail Alley. You've played this several times before. What are these teams going to be looking at as they obviously get set here? Because Jackpot has a chance to take the 3-1 victory and move on to the next round. However,
equals 3
Starburst wants
points.
to try and force that game 5.
Yeah, this is going to be an
Alright.
interesting one, Jordan, because
Clan Blitz is
Jackpot
the best.
reformed from Sayonara, and I told
love
you
Clan
all at
Blitz
the
with
PAX
this.
events that we've seen here, this is maybe Sayonara's best map and mode. You have to imagine that some of that applies to Jackpot as well. So we'll see what they've come out with from a different standpoint, but you know they understand
Here we go.
survivability, where
Next
they
battle.
can put as many clams in as possible from, and where those spawns like to be.
Well, they're going to load it up here. Jackpot getting a chance to play arguably their strongest mode and map as Starburst wants to avoid getting
see
sent
this.
down to the losers bracket. And look at the loadouts. No major changes here for the most part, but as both teams scamper towards the middle in this narrower map here, Rissa, especially with Clan Blitz where things can really get out of hand very quickly, what are teams trying to keep in mind?
teams are going to be really wanting to make sure, I mean, we're getting to see it perfectly from this crab point of view, that you're going to want to watch over all these ledges on the other side of the map. A lot of times, the other team is going to be hiding behind those ledges. So as we saw from that crab's point of view, immediately targeting that and making sure they're clear in order to get pushes is going to be really, really important.
Starburst has taken the snap, however, they get
Didn't
stopped
work.
before they can really
That's
even
my
pick
brother
up any
expected
yardage
it.
here. That'll be the first of several football puns, by the way, here, 9, as we see the Tacticooler coming in. And now it's just been a lot of splatting back and forth, but neither team has yet to advance and open up that basket.
Yeah, you can see Jared spamming this way like it's solo queue, saying, come on, I have 6 of them. There's an opportunity here, but just a couple seconds of shuffling those clams around, all it takes. Jared wisely moves back, goes ahead and doles out some drinks. There's definitely an opportunity to push forward here. If they can wait out this crab tank and maybe get rid of another player, they're going to have an opportunity. But with Kyo closing that deal very quickly, they're going to have to shuffle the deck and try it again.
Over a minute into this one, and nobody has yet been able to get their power clam into the other team's basket. So here comes the Booyah Bomb. Maybe that'll open up some things here, but no, down they go. And so it is 4-3 advantage on the stage right now for Starburst. But right now, it feels like the action's been so concentrated in mid here, Rissa, neither team can get that breakthrough they're looking for.
Right, you can see they're all just trying to get the picks that they need in order to make something happen. 2 members of Jackpot actually do go down finally, and you can see Starburst is finally getting out of that mid area, like you said, Jordan, starting to push forward and trying to get in a position here to score, but the defense from Jackpot is looking really good and making it a little bit difficult for Starburst.
Now 9 at this point, why isn't somebody just trying to scamper ahead? There's purple ink, there's the basket right there. What are they trying to be strategic about?
Well, they want as many points as they can get. There were multiple opportunities there for Bagel to trade 1 squid for 1 score, but they understand if they give that, as we call it, the pity clam there under the opposing basket, they're going to give Jackpot all the resources they need to not only score, but take the lead as well. That's why you're seeing them back all the way up. It may not have been the right decision. It may have been, but it's the decision they went with, and they now have to live with it.
Yeah, and Rissa, we're seeing a clinic on spacing here by .Q, just doing a fine job of staying without out of harm's reach right now from what we're seeing from Jackpot, but still able to apply some pressure with that rapid blaster. He's a chance to try and attack the basket. They do, and .Q able to get the first score of this game as Starburst trying to pour it in.
Yeah, Ice there on that Rapid Blaster, able to create a lot of space and then finally open up the basket for Starburst. Jackpot, though, able to stop this push from Starburst right away, and you can see there's a member down of Starburst. They're regrouping in spawn, and now this is that moment kind of that 9 was highlighting where Jackpot, if they can move really fast off of this, they're going to be able to take space since member of Starburst have gone down.
And 9, that was huge because that's still underneath the 2 power clam threshold here. So Jackpot can seize the lead. They can get a couple of power clams in. It's 3-3 on the map. Here comes the crab here at this point. And this is an opportunity here, 9, it feels like, for Jackpot to really push forward.
Yeah, wonderful. They immediately moved up with that crab. That got tossed way, way up. I'll be stunned if that doesn't find anyone. I somehow stayed up and active at that point. That is 1 power clam that has found its home, but there's 2 members left to defend. They're going to pre-fire up that way, so Madness opts to fight it out. Will they be able to get this? They're trying to set up a jump. Is anyone there left who can do it? It doesn't appear so. They are going to fall short for the time being. I'm just talking this one out. Okay, finally, they don't score. I was nervous there for a second. It's sometimes hard to tell at Eel Tail Alley, but they have more than enough resources to take this back with just 1 power clam and a little change.
And that's the thing. They're going to need 1 power clam and a little bit of help here if they want to take this lead from Starburst. So Starburst still comfortable at this point, but 45 seconds left. They really have to make sure they don't allow Jackpot to come any closer, but now they are starting to advance. They've got a power clam ready to go. And I imagine, Rissa, this is when you're going to be really aggressive and try and find that first opening.
And I had no idea.
You're going to want to make something happen if you are Jackpot right now and you want to get the lead. Unfortunately for them, though, as they have used that crab, they used that Booyah Bomb to start being aggressive and create space. They did have a member go down, but in turn, they have gotten 2 members down on the Starburst. So this is that moment for them to use the momentum that they have to make something happen.
Now Yellow has the chance, 10 seconds.
Taking a little bit of damage from that splat bomb coming in, moving forward now. 5 seconds left. Power Clam still in control. It's going to be overtime, but the fumble right as we run out of time and head to overtime here. Jackpot going to have to act quickly here. Now, if you're Starburst 9, all of your attention shifts to defense.
Yep, and you got to hurry up and defend here. They can jump one in, but no, the trapdoor spider waiting on top. That is still in danger, but a wipeout as Bran and Kyo will do a dance. Bran standing right next to that power clam. No time for any funny business at the end, but Jordan, Rissa, so many times I thought Jackpot had path forward and one more member of Starburst was waiting. They faked out us. You can bet they faked out Jackpot. And of course, these two Titans are going to take us to a Game 5.
And we've got no problem with the Game 5 in our opening set here between Jackpot and Starburst. Would you expect anything differently from two of the top teams in North America? And to Nine's point here, Rissa, it felt like you just needed one more little splash of ink, and Jackpot would have had enough room to move and try and get that power clam into the basket.
That is really
but
cool,
enough defense at the right time
happens in the next battle.
And they hold on barely down the stretch.
Yeah, Starburst seemed like they were just consistently making sure they at least had 1 or 2 specials ready. Even if they had a member or 2 down, they just made sure that those remaining members that were alive were getting their specials or holding their specials in order to play off of their teammates respawning. And then like at the end too, like Nine said, I didn't even realize that Bran was hiding up there on the top right of the screen. So just being able to hide behind those ledges of that map is really well, like we just saw.
So, Nine, it gets interesting here because Game 5, you mentioned before, there's something important about when somebody wins either Game 3 or Game 4. What's the impact that we're going to have here?
What is it?
Well, first and foremost, the impact, of course, is if Starburst lost that, we aren't even talking about a Game 5. So they had to win Game 5, but because of the way this goes and because the winner picks the mode, Starburst is now going to get to play this Game 5, the most important game of the set at the end, on whatever mode they choose. Now, of course, the loser does get to pick the map, so Jackpot not totally in a hapless position, but Starburst very strong on Rainmaker. I'd be stunned if they don't take it back there. But you can bet at the very least they're probably not going to take it back to tower control, and that is the right they have earned by taking us to Game 5.
Yeah, it'll be fascinating because they got the win in Rainmaker, of course, Clam Blitz, and that's the power of choosing the game mode. I mean, I guess it depends on what team you talk to, Rissa, but what has a greater impact? Is it the stage or is it the game mode as far as how well a team can potentially do?
That's a really good question. I feel like typically it's, going to be the mode. Teams
I think the mode is the problem, not the maps.
Sometimes the stages do come into play for that, but I feel like for the most part it's going to be the mode. Teams are going to be better at having splat zone strategies, having Rainmaker strategies, having these setups that they know they want to do for the modes in particular. So I feel like typically that's what you see here.
So it's going to be Rainmaker, and this is where we saw Starburst get arguably their most comfortable victory of these 4 games here, Nine. They've been close for both teams, but this seems like the wise choice here for Starburst.
Yeah, I said I'd be stunned if it didn't go here, and listen, if you watch PAX, you know exactly what this roster is capable of on Rainmaker, and they're able to do it to the very best of their competition. They're strong worldwide on this mode as well, so again, incredibly strong. They understand the choke points of certain maps, when they can spend 1 special versus 2 specials. They're incredibly patient, and I can't wait to see what they've got cooked up for us here in Game 5.
All right, we'll be at Undertow Spillway here. So, Rissa, what do you see here? Rainmaker, Undertow Spillway. This is going to be a fascinating combination.
Yeah, it really is. I think, besides the map, I think going into this Game 5, it might come down to the comps that these two teams are going to be running. Starburst, of course, like we've talked about, is really, really good on Rainmaker in general, but I'm really wondering if Jackpot is going to switch up their comp from what we saw previously on Rainmaker to try and match what Starburst is doing now that they know how Starburst is playing Rainmaker today and what comp they were playing previously for Rainmaker.
Yeah, that's a good point because, Nine, you've had a chance to scout Starburst on Rainmaker before, and if you're Jackpot, it was a pretty close game last time. Do you try to change things up a whole lot, or do you go with what's been working for you?
I don't think there's a ton of room for them to change things up at this point. Again, we said Sizzle Season has been a thing for all of 3 or 4 days right now, so you have to go with what you're practiced and what you're comfortable with. But I will note, Jordan, since you brought up scouting here, there would be a sweet bit of revenge here. Again, referencing that PAX, the most dominant game of Rainmaker I've ever seen played was Starburst versus Sayonara. It was on this map, on this mode. So again, I know Jackpot, Sayonara, not the exact same, but to beat Starburst here on their stage, ooh, this would be so nice.
Starburst.
Here we go, brothers. Here we go. This is it. This is the decisive battle.
They wiped the floor with Sayonara. Many of those members have now rejoined to form Jackpot. It's a different name. It will also be a different result. We'll find out. Game 5, Jackpot Starburst trying to advance here as both these teams playing for a chance to enter the Splatoon 3 2023 championships if they can advance to the grand prize spot here today. Early tank coming out here.
This is the season battle.
Starburst already able to take down 2 members of Jackpot. You can see with that crab, Ice is using the inkjet there on the left side of the screen. They were able to get an opening to grab the Rainmaker, but luckily for Jackpot, they have that defensive .Q. They're having that defensive inkjet ready and actually able to completely shut down what Starburst was doing initially.
Yeah, no room to hide, and so an early little push from Starburst, but that was stopped well by Jackpot, and it feels like now with Starburst trying to go the other side of the map here, Jackpot in a pretty solid position, even though they're down a member 9. Feels like they've kind of found their bearings after taking that opening punch.
Yeah, you saw they waited, they moved to the right, and they even picked out where Leafy was coming around the flank and closed that one down as well. Now, all the way happy to simply pivot around on this side. They've waited out 3 Jackpot specials right now. Now moving forward, they will get that first checkpoint out of the way. They will pay dearly for it, but a lot of teams wouldn't have been able to even get that much.
Yeah, masterfully handled by Ice and was getting some terrific backup by Bagel throughout that entire time. And so now Jackpot with the crab tank ready to go. They're moving forward fast here, Rissa. Here's an opportunity for them to tie the game.
You can see that checkpoint is right in Leafy's grasp. She's trying to do everything she can to push forward to get to the checkpoint at least. Surrounded by Ice and Kyo there, though, does go down right before the checkpoint, unfortunately for them. Able to create some space, but not quite enough.
Inkjet versus Crab. Crab has to retreat just a little bit. You see the Rainmaker right in front of that first checkpoint here. However, Starburst seems to be surrounding it pretty well. 4 members of each team on the map at this moment. Just over 3 minutes left. And right now, Jackpot's kind of got Starburst pinned down here, 9.
Yeah, they've actually done a really good job, again, of cycling these specials. It's not often that you see something like this occur in Rainmaker. Usually this is reserved for splat zones, both sides simply jostling over mid and exchanging specials as they do. But with Kyo down already and gone quickly here, this is a really rough position. They're going to follow it up with .Q's inkjet here. They're going to grab the Rainmaker. They're going to get it. And finally, 2 of them go down. All they need is 1 more point here to take the lead. You can see them using specials. They want more than just that.
Yeah, Jackpot is hungry. They take a huge bite out of that, but a huge wipeout on the other side as Starburst plays the role of Charmin, and now they get a chance to move forward in a hurry here, Rissa. So yes, Jackpot was able to move forward, but it was expensive.
It was. They are now in that position that Starburst was. They are in their spawn. They're trying to get specials ready. 1 member does go down on Jackpot, but luckily Leafy does have this whale ready and does use it to stall it out. And the score got so close there. Starburst getting their points all the way down to 41, but still not getting the lead.
Precarious positioning of the Rainmaker here deep into Jackpot territory. Starburst just trying to apply a little bit of pressure on it. It pops open. They have a chance to possibly grab it, but they're going to retreat and kind of get into better positioning here as Jackpot now grabs it and resets it to the middle swiftly there, 9.
Yeah, and you saw that Brain immediately recognized that that was the time that it was going to be reset here. Let's go back, set up our crabs in mid, and go as we like here. I got to say, Jackpot may be the best team out there at choosing where to fight and how it can slow down an enemy team. You see they move Kyo up, and Kyo was able to trade it out. Let's see here. Bagel going to walk forward. Just a couple more points. Does get it now. Down to 30. Again, these teams narrowly nudging forward. Brand fights everybody there below the basket. And this is actually a really tricky inkjet spot, because if this doesn't find one, it does find 2. I cannot explain to you how dangerous that was for Ice, who then goes ahead and gets a 3rd.
So Ice already making a huge impact with a minute left. That could be a pivotal play for Starburst. They lead 30-36. Rainmaker resets. Jackpot has to make it count here. Starburst, this is the map and mode that they dominated Sayonara on. Sayonara now changing to Jackpot, putting up much more of a fight, but still not enough with 40 seconds left. And now it looks like, Rissa, they've got to advance and make their play. Looks like they're eyeing the left-hand side of the stage.
Oh, and right as they started getting some space and had some specials ready to make a move, Kyo was right there sharking, like we've seen him been doing so far a lot in these games, able to shark and completely shut down that Rainmaker. So that might slow down the momentum that Jackpot started there to get a push going.
20 seconds left. Jackpot still trailing by 6. Killer Whale coming out, but down they go, and they need every single member 12 seconds left. Rainmaker, though, in possession of Starburst. Off it goes. Now it's up for grabs. 6 seconds left. Jackpot trying to jump in quickly. Can Starburst take 2 games in a row and advance? We're headed to overtime. Here's Leafy trying to advance forward, just trying to buy some time. Teammates jumping in. You see the view right now. Just has to get to 29 to take this game in overtime. Starburst building up those specials. Down goes a member of Jackpot. Disadvantage for Jackpot in the yellow. They're trying to pick and choose their spot. Trying to weave their way deep into Starburst territory. Starburst knows exactly where they need to go. Triple Ink Strike coming out. Another member of Jackpot goes down, but they're still hanging out. That timer running low, but down goes a member of Jackpot. Leafy thinking about the left, getting some help here. They are going to just stall out this overtime, it feels like. Leafy trying to advance to the right. Splat Bomb doesn't do anything. Leafy still trying to go, but down they go. Finally 9. That was one of those, as you said, you just talk it out and see what happens. But Starburst playing enough defense in overtime. That is back-to-back wins for Starburst, and they advance after 5 grueling games against Jackpot.
Yeah, grueling. These sets between these two are always incredible, and we got to see another classic one right there. And at the end, as you noted, the battle was taking place off screen, but it was also taking place at the top of the screen because, again, the special's so important, and every time one person goes down to a Wayward Bomb, Leafy with that Rainmaker doesn't have a choice but to move all the way back, wait for the players to come back in and get it set up. And should also be noted, I think Leafy is probably not the player they wanted to be carrying the Rainmaker in that spot. She's one of the best at going forward, winning a fight, cycling with that 52 gal, getting the wall up, winning another fight. But again, because they had such little time on a very nice, clever grab of the Rainmaker by Kyo before overtime, there was no choice left to be had. Leafy had to grab it or the game was going to end right there. Starburst, again, very, very close, but they have proven that they are still the team to beat, at least on this day.
Yeah, well, it was more of a fight put up this time by Jackpot, but still the same result as Starburst. Wins Game 5. Let's go ahead and check out the bracket here in just a moment because as we said before, we knew it was going to be very close between Jackpot and Starburst. But it's Starburst that is able to take things down the stretch. They get the victory, and that is huge right there. And so they will take on the winner of Last Resort and Duck Gang as Jackpot heads down to loser semis. But before we get to that, we'll step aside and take a quick little break in just a moment because we are going to take a closer look, though, before we step aside at Last Resort and Duck Gang here because this is going to be very exciting, Rissa. You mentioned before, Last Resort, they've got some fan-favorite players, but then Duck Gang, of course.
Somebody's
this is a team
go to Starburst to the final to decide who's first and second.
They get hot, they can apply
in the
a lot
orange
of pressure.
bracket.
And so let's break down Last Resort just a little bit more. You mentioned
just
they are a
for
team
the
that
third
has seemed
and
to
fourth
really
place.
embrace the potential changes that the meta is probably going to lean towards to as Sizzle season continues on.
Oh, absolutely. They tend to, I have a feeling I've been watching them play a little bit here in the last couple of days. And it seems like actually Chara on this team has been sticking specifically with the S-Blaster, a new weapon that came out during the Sizzle season. So hopefully we get to see a little bit of that new weapon play here. And then they've actually been also playing Arashi on the new Wiper Deco. So they're really embracing the new weapons and changes that have happened so far.
All right, it'll be Last Resort versus Duck Gang. More on Duck Gang when we come back, but we're going to step aside here. The Splatoon 3 Championship 2023 qualifier taking place right now. We've had our first set here already between Jackpot and Starburst. It was 5 games. It was exciting. Starburst moves on. We'll find out our other 2 teams and their fate when we come back.
Yeah. And I don't know how long it's going to take them to come back, so but you have me, bredas, and we are live at FRG TV. I don't know what Don Nintendo's doing. Commercials, I guess. Let's watch Don Nintendo's beautiful commercials about Pikmin and shit. Thank you, Don Nintendo. We will buy it. Yes. I guess these brothers are gonna take their time. Isn't that beautiful? This is another of those commercials that we watch on the Nintendo Direct, and I don't see the point in watching it again. But obviously, the Nintendo's gonna force us. So here we are! What, is that a dog? Is that... It has no nose. Dogs literally... The most important feature is like almost their nose. And we're just waiting, brothers, for the qualifiers, the next few battles, to know who goes to the final with Star Wars. Very soon after these messages, that's what the bredas said. And that's why we are here. While you wait, please like, subscribe, hit the notifications bell button, follow me on Rumble TV, which is my newest channel. I need five of you for Rumble to live stream. Thank you so much if you do follow me on Rumble. It's really easy. You go rumble.com, right? Let me give you the exact address, brothers. Rumble.com/ and then you find me as FRGTV, right? User / FRGTV. Or you search on the search bar, right? Search for my name channel, FRGTV. You should see my beautiful face, my beautiful avatar, and everything, all of my logos. Go ahead and follow me on Rumble, so I can start streaming in Rumble very soon. I literally need 5 people. That's all I need, and then they let me stream. And thank you so much for your likes. I'm like obviously streaming this championship qualifiers, and the Nintendo's just like, you know, advertising his stuff in between, as he should. Zelda, Zelda, Zelda! And now that we're here thinking about Zelda, I want to remind everyone that every Friday I will play this game that you see on your screen. I've been playing this every Friday. Do you want to watch me? Yes, of course you do. Look at this. Of course you do want to watch me play this. So please join me this next Friday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, because this game is available and I am playing it online, live. My series is called Unapologetic Zelda. Ooh, and here we go, more Splatoon. Oh, it's this Ska song, right? From Season. Oh shit, my drink. It's season, and I want to remind you that I'll be here tomorrow at 10 p.m. Eastern Time, playing a little bit of the second challenge, hoping I get the 5 stamps to get a con shell for free. I don't think I'm gonna win the challenge, really, without you, brothers, because it's the same weapon. Well, they're gonna give us the weapons that have the Trizuka special. To be honest, I never use any other weapon but the Dualis. So, it's gonna be great. I hope you join me tomorrow. I am streaming a lot. Hoping that more people like and subscribe. if you appreciate it, I've been here a lot, and I have a lot of content. Froggie Nation, please subscribe to Froggie Nation. Please like and subscribe. Follow me on Twitch. Also, if possible, it's twitch.tv/FRGTV_. Or any or all of my social media. Thank you so much, Breda. And here we go. I hope these people are done with commercials and we can watch the qualifiers. No, not yet. Oh yeah, yes, yet. Yay. I thought it was another commercial. So here we go, they're back. I can't wait, I really wanna know. Okay, brothers. It's time. Well, they're taking their time, apparently. I'm still waiting. Hope they come back soon. Remember, brothers, there's only like one more bracket to qualify in this. Starburst already is on the final. Alright, this is taking forever. I really didn't think it was gonna take this long. But they're done with their commercials and we're waiting for the next bracket. And we're still waiting, brothers, waiting for the next bracket. It started right on time, but now I don't know. You just see right after these commercials, they're not back yet. So we're gonna wait another few minutes, see if they're back, brothers. Oh, there, seems like they're finally back.
And welcome back to the Splatoon 3 Championship 2023 qualifier. Jordan Ken alongside 9 and Rissa, as we have already seen a terrific set take place between Jackpot and Starburst. And as we check out the bracket here, we'll get a chance to see the other two teams duel, because it'll be Last Resort and Duck Gang. The winner of that will take on Starburst in our winter finals coming up after that. But let's get to these two squads. Last Resort, Duck Gang, Rissa. You talked about Last Resort prior to the break. Now let's talk about Duck Gang and some of their members. And this is a team where you're going to see some familiar weapons, but these are some new faces to this level of competitive play here.
Yeah, you know, we talked a little bit about how this is actually an established team that has previously performed really well against high level. So getting to see them against a high level team like Last Resort is really making me question, you know, are they going to, you know, have that happen again, where they make something happen, they make an upset happen against a high level team as the underdog. Players like Red Shell, Enry, Drifty, they all have all played together a lot, so they know how each other plays, and I feel like sometimes that really factors into their success. They know how to play around each other.
And 9, they scored a pretty nice upset over DNA getting to this spot here, and that says a lot about what they could possibly be capable of here as we see them take the attack here to Last Resort here in just a moment.
Yeah, both of these teams scored some upsets to get here, and both of these teams have kind of been, I don't mean stepping stone in a bad way, but this would be the biggest win for both of these teams.
Okay, here
they
we
gotta
go.
fight through each other first if they want a shot at Starburst.
Hey, listen, all the great teams were once a stepping stone to somebody else before they got to the top. It's just a matter of time, right? The Nuggets never got to the finals until now, so here we go. There's hope for everyone. Last Resort, Duck Gang, we have Rainmaker and Undertow Spillway. So very familiar with this. We just kind of saw it here, Rissa. And, you know, let's look at these loadouts here, Rissa. As you check out the top of the screen, is there anything that jumps out at you at this moment?
Yeah, right away I'm seeing that both teams actually here are having a Wiper Deco, so both can be utilizing missiles, as we already see missiles being used on the screen here. And actually something we don't typically see is Duck Gang having a Jet Squelcher on their side. That's going to be the range that they're going to utilize against the ball point that Last Resort has.
Neither team advancing the Rainmaker quite at this point. They've kind of just swapped specials back and forth, but first time today we're seeing a lot of missiles come out here, 9, and that could be something that we're going to see developing further as Sizzle season continues.
Absolutely. This was the weapon that everybody saw the kit of, and it was the talk of the town here. The Wiper Deco has the missiles, but it also has the beacons. And on a map like Undertow Spillway, if you start getting cycled, people jumping in with beacons and using missiles, you can really sustain a long-range push that can take a lot of points out. A very nicely placed inkjet to take the teeth out of that push. Immediately Duck Gang capitalizes on it, takes mid for themselves as well, and it's been a very low-scoring game thus far. At a certain point, someone's going to dive forward and clean it up. 2 people down, but on the other side, I thought that was it. Duck Gang had them gone.
And that's what's crazy. You get 2 splats and the score doesn't even change at all, Rissa. So it feels like this has really been a stalemate to get things going, and neither team can find that opening quite yet, which means it's going to be very fascinating with 3.5 minutes left.
Oh, absolutely. You know, this is kind of how I talked about in the previous set. That first game is going to be that game where, okay, you're looking at what the other team is bringing to the table. You're trying to figure out how to counter it, how to counter their play style in this first game. So that's exactly what we're seeing here from both of these teams. You know, we keep seeing members go down on each side, but no big pushes have necessarily happened just yet.
For what it's worth, Last Resort finally taking the Rainmaker past the 95-point marker, and they get to the first checkpoint. More missiles coming out, and it's a 4-2 advantage. Last Resort can really start to pour it on here, 9.
Okay.
Yeah, and
Here
a very
they go,
nice op to move forward there and grab it. Very timely grab of that Rainmaker as well. I was about to say, Last Resort really seemed to be waiting for the ideal situation to show up. They did get what they needed there all the way down to 22, taking it over to the right as well. Normally we see those big pushes go to the left side, but last resort, the creativity and the timeliness.
All right, Duck Gang's going to have to really try to get some pushes going here because they are trailing big time. They haven't even scored yet with just under 2.5 minutes left. And Rissa, it's going to be fascinating because it feels like they've got the opportunity to use the missiles to really displace Last Resort. And once they're displaced, they have to take advantage of that window.
Yeah, using those missiles is going to be really, really important. But I think what's making it a little bit more difficult is it seems like Last Resort has a lot of paint in mid, and they're able to just, when they get missiled by Duck Gang, back up and use that paint that they have to just avoid the missiles as best they can. So far, you know, as long as Duck Gang can get some paint on the board like they're doing now, finally, maybe they can make something happen with those missiles.
Duck Gang still has yet to grab the Rainmaker. Last Resort doing a fine job of just staying in mid and staying in the mix of things. You see that Inkjet coming out from Storm Hero, cleaning things up, and now it is a 4-3 advantage with just over 90 seconds left for Last Resort. And so far, Nine, they have been dominant here.
Yeah, I mean, it's stunning that one of the teams hasn't put any points on the board at this point. And, you know, Duck Gang has been going almost even in some of these trades in the middle. It's just been that one big opening, and then every time there's a small window for Duck Gang to make some points, Last Resort grabs the Rainmaker, dives it forward, and stalls it all up. And there, right, you saw Drift T tries to go in, take out Storm on the ball point. Not so easy to get done. They're once again going to try to put down this pesky ball point and do. Surely the opportunity is now, but no. Once again, Last Resort, the last member up, grabs the Rainmaker. Again, slowing it down just enough.
Yeah, a very well-played tactical game so far by Last Resort, it feels like, Rissa. They just always seem to have somebody in the right spot at the right time, and that's eliminated any opportunities for Duck Gang to make anything happen with these pushes they're getting.
Yeah, I haven't really seen this tactic a lot. Just being able to just keep grabbing the Rainmaker. That way the other team can't even get a hold of the Rainmaker. And Last Resort, they're a team that plays off of that quick respawn. They like to play just super aggressively, just dive in and make things happen. And we're seeing exactly that happen here. You know, able to just shark in a spot, grab the Rainmaker real fast so the other team can't get it, and then just completely slow down what the other team was trying to do.
Here's Chara trying to move forward, gets a little bit of help. Just going to hang on to the Rainmaker and let time wind down. Has a couple of teammates really just providing some excellent cover. And Chara just going to marinate on the left-hand side of the map and pick up the dub along with the wipeout as Last Resort. A dominant, and I mean dominant, showing against Duck Gang here in Game 1.
Yeah, bravo, a clap, a round of applause, however you want to phrase it, a tip of the cap to Last Resort. Playing in such a fashion, it was such a Last Resort game too. Rissa pointed it out. This is a team that plays with that quick respawn ability where if you go down a couple of times without taking anybody out, you're going to come back quicker and quicker and quicker, and eventually you're going to have the opportunity to break up a push or grab the Rainmaker. And as you get better at the game of Splatoon, you start by looking at weapons, you look at stages, and then you start to look at timing and how all of these attacks are sort of on a ticking clock of the opponent's respawn as you move around. If you can throw one wrench into that clock, you can derail it all, but you got to know when that timing is, and Last Resort has clearly found it.
And that's what we saw, Rissa. This is a team that has been very adamant about embracing the changes that we've seen in Sizzle Season in the last update, and it felt like that entire game, there was always a member of Last Resort right there, grabbing the Rainmaker, disrupting things, as Nine pointed out. There was never a clean slate for Duck Gang to work with, even though they had 4v2s, 3v1s. You have to applaud once again what we saw from Last Resort.
Yeah,
we have like a few games now that they have to make up for it.
Respawn, but they're also
at least
not only embracing the new weapons like that S-Blast, the Wiper Deco, they're also embracing having an N-Zap on their team. So since the Tacticooler just got the buffs, they are also utilizing that. So already initially having quick respawn on their team with their players, and then also utilizing that Tacticooler buff, that being able to just constantly be able to come back into the action with both of those things.
Yeah, really impressive job by Last Resort. You are excited to see what it's going to look like in these different modes as they advance forward. And, you know, getting set for the next game here in a second, Nine, you know, if you are Duck Gang, where does the conversation begin as far as what they can do to sort of regroup and pose more of a threat in this next one?
Well, the conversation starts with, thank goodness Rainmaker's gone. We won't have to worry about that unless this goes to Game 5, because, again, we've kind of told you and rehashed it a few times, but Rainmaker really, really fits the way that Last Resort likes to play here. So maybe go to something a little bit more measured. Both of these teams are using the missiles, so that could be an interesting dynamic in splat zones. But more than anything, you have Rainmaker out of the way now. You just have to say, let's win these next 3 games. Let's not go back to it. And again, they do have a choice of maps, so they should at least get their footing somewhat.
Well, it's going to be Clam Blitz coming up next here, and so this was the choice, of course, by Last Resort. They feel confident in this here, and you know, you look at this quick respawn and the loadouts that they're going with here, Rissa. How do you think that pairs well with Clam Blitz coming up?
That was, I know exactly what you're hinting at.
Clam
That was my
Blitz!
first thought too. You know, like Nine said, it's not a more slow-paced,
Clam Blitz is really cool, bredas.
stationary objective.
Let's see what
like
happens.
Splat zones or tower control. Clam Blitz is a lot more fast-paced, like Rainmaker. You can make things happen really fast. You can run around, jump in all over the place with the weapons that Last Resort has, and being able to play really fast again on the other fast game mode like Clam Blitz totally makes sense for Last Resort.
And so we'll get a chance to figure out what stage it'll be here shortly. But, you know, with Clam Blitz and constantly moving around, Nine, you pointed out last time we saw Jackpot and Starburst face off in Clam Blitz. You really want to time those jumps in, and you want to capitalize every single time you open up that basket. You want to make sure you're pouring in as many points as possible and not just trading for that potential pity clam, as you said.
Yeah, I think it's a difficult situation where you saw earlier even Starburst not willing to score just 1 power clam. These players understand they cannot give the opposing team any sort of ammunition to steal a game at the very end, because if all it takes is 2 power clams, suddenly all of your nice, cheesy, put one person behind, jump into power clams, let's steal a game and get out of here, that all goes away if you have a big enough lead. And I think, again, that's part of the reason, as Rissa said, why we are seeing Clam Blitz right now. Because, again, they understand fewer opportunities for that. We're going to be spawning quick. We're going to come in, and we're going to be using our burst damage weapons to clear choke points. And once we do, watch out, because the points are going to come flying off the board.
And obviously, Rissa, Tacticooler, that movement speed increase you're going to get is going to be huge for a team like Last Resort that we've seen already wants to move all around the map, have players in different situations. That speed advantage will play a huge role in Clam Blitz, I imagine.
Oh, absolutely. That's going to add to the aggression and the quick respawn that Last Resort already has. This swim speed for the Tacticooler, you know, when you take a Tacticooler soda, then your swim speed is increased. So they're going to be able to just, I can just see it now, jump into beacons, jump into their teammates, and get that Tacticooler, and then just swim and just play really aggressively.
So we've agreed that soda is the term we're going with, right? Is it not called pop in other parts of the country?
Oh,
or
we're
like
not
a soda
having
pop
this conversation here. We are not having a conversation about soda
carbonated
versus
beverage.
pop.
Does that work for anybody for the most part?
Well, we got to be careful not to say any brand names.
No, we won't, of course. We noticed that we just avoided that ink for the most part, but it is fascinating how you're seeing more of the Tacticooler play come in. It provides such a buff, and you mentioned before, Nine, that extra 2 seconds makes a huge difference in a fast-paced game like
that was
It
funny. I don't know
absolutely
what you
does,
call
and it should be
those.
noted that in a previous patch
them
prior
colas.
to the Sizzle season, it got another buff of the range in which you could pick it up as well. So lasts longer now. You don't have to be nearly as close to it. And in other buffs here, since we're just talking about the Tacticooler, you can make it last even longer with even fewer pieces of your gear being committed to it with that special power up. So all things coming up Tacticooler, as it were, at this point. But it's not so easy to simply set it down there and get all of those benefits. When this game first came out, Jordan, you and I thought for sure, like, well, here's Tacticooler. This is what everyone's going to be using. The buffs have helped too, but I think it also helps that the players are really embracing how to play with it, how to play around it with the maps, and it's been a joy to see, even if it can't be too fun to fight against it.
All right, we're getting set for Clam Blitz. It's going to be popping up here in just a second. Last Resort, they were dominant. They served up a bagel to Duck Gang last time. Didn't even get a single point. We'll see if Duck Gang can turn things around in Game 2. It is Clam Blitz as we get set. And as you check out the loadouts here for both of these squads, Rissa, it feels like Last Resort going to embrace the Sizzle season changes once again.
Absolutely. Again, they have that S-Blast, the Wiper Deco, and then the NZAP with the Tacticooler like we talked about. On the other side, Duck Gang actually going to be utilizing the range of a heavy Splatling this time around. So maybe that will be the key to helping them win this game.
If you're keeping track at home, that was 12 seconds that it took to get the cooler out. So just imagine how good these teams are at building their specials. Gives you an idea right there. Now Duck Gang deep into last resort territory, and they, just a little short. They serve up the air ball there, Nine.
Yeah, got to give credit to Arashi there, who was simply zoning people out with that Wiper Deco. This is a guy who's been on the big stage, some of the biggest stages that Splatoon has to offer, not going to make an unforced error by trying too hard to fight it out there. So credit to him forcing that mistake there. You certainly think Duck Gang had an opportunity, but the defense is good, and man, Jordan, they are paying for this so dearly. Look at how quickly Last Resort is moving in.
Yeah, they have him pinned in as well, too. Couldn't move to the left or right, and Last Resort doing a great job of hanging in there. Here comes a power clam, and they already push their lead to 20. However, not a lot of support there, so a really good stop if they hold it here, Rissa, because you have no problem trading that and then getting a power clam gifted to you immediately.
Yeah, at least Duck Gang was able to put a stop to what was happening there from Last Resort. Last Resort only able to get 20 points on the board. And I saw too, in the middle of Last Resort's push, Arashi actually tried to put a beacon down under the basket and then jump back into it to score a clam in. But unfortunately for Arashi, the basket had closed. So we're gonna have to look out moving forward throughout the rest of this game if they try to do that again.
We saw Last Resort try to pick up the power clam and head in. Here comes the Reef Slider trying to open things up. Chara backing up with that S-Blast 92, and then all of a sudden Power Clam in possession still for Last Resort, but Duck Gang doing a good job of holding fort until then, as Last Resort able to sneak one in, and a second Power Clam. They're jumping in back-to-back 9. How about this push?
I mean, don't you love the tactical world that we live in? Everyone always finding opening things up. Again, if you are not prepared to deal with this, if you're not winning your fights cleanly, eventually you are going to get outscaled and overrun. It is rare that you see 4 power clams be all that a team has scored. Usually there's a little follow-up, but you certainly can't argue with the result thus far for Last Resort.
Yeah, go big or go home. If you're Last Resort, they've built up a nice 70-point lead. Let's see if Duck Gang can get on the board. They were shut out in the first game. They've got the support of an Inkjet, but those Tenta missiles will slow the push down. Now 2v1, Wisely backing up at this point, trying to find another spot. But again, the speed of the Tacticooler just too much as Last Resort juiced up and playing that defense. And that's the great thing about it, Rissa. Tacticooler can sometimes help you on offense, but it also chips in on defense.
Absolutely. Nine had touched on it before. You know, even on defense, if you have that tactical already, you know the other team is pushing into you. You can just use the tactical, and then everyone can just dive in and try and get picks and make something happen instead of sitting back and maybe letting the other team overrun you. So tactical for defense absolutely is a big play here for Last Resort also.
Oh, Chara kind of pinned down. Really nice defense there by Duck Gang. However, they still have not scored a single power clam, nor have they built one at this point. They're still sitting on 9 clams as a team. And if you're
that's what happens when I play. That's how I feel.
At this point now, there's an opening potentially as a member of Last Resort goes down. Duck Gang jumping in here. Another splat here, so here's an opportunity, 9.
Yeah, Red Shell fighting tooth and nail just to keep this power clam left and up on the board. It's going to be a losing fight and not even going to get the jump out there. Again, Jordan, you pointed it out. Precious seconds to build that power clam. Things change drastically once your basket is open on the defensive side. To be able to keep it close certainly helps from a scoreboard perspective, but it also means that you can focus on where the opponent is at rather than defending your own base. Now they're back. They're going to have their specials up shortly for a defensive side, and Arashi might be trying something tricky here.
You see Arashi right now, juiced up with the Tacticooler, jumping around left and right. Putting a couple beacons down for their team to help them out. Power Clam in possession of Duck Gang. 40 seconds left. Tenta missiles will come out, and that'll help the cause. However, they're going to need a lot more than that as Duck Gang has been iced out so far in the second game. And at this point, the crab coming up. Here's a chance here, Rissa, to apply some pressure deep into Last Resort territory.
Yeah, this is the moment that Duck Gang can definitely make something happen. They're able to take down one of the members of Last Resort, and they're already pushed forward.
They scored.
Last Resorts. That's called their spinner. So able to open up the basket. They just need
to
get more claims into the basket. They have a member down, but there are 10 seconds left. Let's see if they can make anything happen.
Yeah, you see the super jump coming in. Another power clam, so hold on.
Do it.
A little bit of time left. You're going to need one more power clam, but the problem is there enough currency on the map, or are the banks empty? We'll see if Duck King can hold on, but no, it's going to be Last Resort holding strong, and despite the flurry at the end by Duck Gang, Last Resort takes a 2-0 lead, and that early aggression and the use of the tacticooler, we will be saying that time and time again with them, 9, pays off because it just felt like Last Resort was just a little bit swifter than Duck Gang, and you saw the difference between the two right there.
Well, you get more chances, right? That's the important thing
The
here.
battle
Every
that they
time
win
you
one
force
more,
the
it's
opponent
over.
to
That's
adjust to what it is
Right?
you're doing, defend against what
That's
you're
it.
trying to do, or be that much perfect in their attack because they're fighting through a tacticooler, eventually they're going to slip up. All it takes is 1 or 2 members going down or taking an extra 4 or 5 seconds to build your own power clam to score. Those are the opportunities that you have to be able to capitalize on, and all those margins
Pretty
get slimmer and
much is
slimmer when
right.
you're fighting against top teams, and even more so when you're
I
fighting
don't-
against Tacticooler.
Yeah,
We've talked so much
I
about the quick respawn aspect of
I try-
Tacticooler. We've
I try
neglected to
every
note
time,
here,
I mean,
if you get
when I play,
splatted
I
while
try
you have
every time, but
Tacticooler, you
never-
keep the
never
entirety
reach.
of your special meter as well.
Watch these
So it
people
can
and
feel
I
like
don't
you're
see
fighting through
anything
even more
special,
specials than you would normally do, in addition
do
to
the
more
same
players.
stuff.
So again, I know we're harping on this, but you can see
I
in
just
real
think
time
they
how
just better
difficult this
together.
job has been for
Like
Duck
as a team.
All right, Last Resort takes the 2-0 lead. Splat Zone
2-0 lead.
coming up next here, and I'm going to just go to the obvious question here, Rissa.
Is there
a
a
team that
chance?
loves Tacticooler,
That's the
that's kind
obvious
of
question.
built their entire composition around utilizing that. How does that help them out in Splat Zones, regardless of the stage that we're going to be on here?
Regardless,
what are we
that
gonna do?
tacticooler is going to be something.
Keep playing,
whether
but
it's,
also we're
it's
gonna
kinda
do
like,
just
you know
keep
what we
playing
just
this
watched for
damn
Clan
game.
Blitz. It's going to be really helpful in the defense situation. So going to be able to use the tacticooler in order to push back in to get the zone if they end up locked out, or in another sense, if Last Resort running that tacticooler again has the zone already and they want to push forward into Duck Gang and play aggressively and really lock them out, they can again use that tacticooler once they have the zone and push forward really fast. And even if they go down, they're going to
Yeah.
respawn right away. So that's another situation where that comes into
I
play.
agree with
All right,
her.
we'll be headed to Hagglefish Market, your hometown right there, 9, as we see right behind you. And,
Hometown.
this is something that we're familiar with. We saw this in the very first game
What the
between
flows?
Jackpot and Starburst.
What's
So
all
what do you have
that
to keep
about?
in mind here?
I want to know the
Well,
inside
I
joke.
think you mentioning that
Yeah.
last set is perfect because I think it tells you exactly what you need to know about this. All it takes is one player, particularly if they're using an AoE weapon like a blaster or like a slosher, a sloshing
Yeah, pretty
machine.
much.
Once
And
they
then-
get in, it can be so difficult for you to establish any sort of special gain. You don't have a ton of room to build your specials there, and you can see how quickly it snowballs. All Jackpot needed was one opening to take it to Starburst. You have to imagine the same thing is going to come through here. But one other important note, Tenta missiles, very, very powerful on splat zones. We've seen people switch over to Tenta missile weapons even before it was on the wiper. Displacement, the name of the game, getting people away from that zone to give yourself time to move up when the opponent has locked you out.
Yeah, it really feels like whatever team can get the first successful push into the other team's spawn.
Right.
That's what we saw between Starburst and Jackpot.
He has a
It
point.
feels like that's going to be the key. And right now, Last Resort, we've seen how quickly they can move around the map. So it feels like once they get control, it's going to be really hard for Duck Gang to try and slow them down.
Oh, absolutely. Kind of like we just talked about with the tacticooler, if they're going to be able to get control of the zone and then push forward like we saw Jackpot do with Starburst, that will really, really come into play then. Hopefully, maybe for Duck Gang, maybe since they've been playing longer range weapons,
I
that
mean,
heavy,
you have-
that Jet Squelcher, maybe they're going to be able to utilize the range of those weapons
Yeah.
to shut down what Last Resort's trying to do.
All right, we are just
Here we
moments
go.
away from Splat Zones at Hagglefish Market. Last Resort trying to get the sweep here over Duck Gang. We mentioned Last Resort, a team with some experience, and they have quickly tried to adopt some of the major changes in Sizzle Season and
Okay.
how they may reshape the meta. So far, the experiment has been working very well for Last Resort. So as we take a look at the loadouts here, 9, anything stand out to you? Anything look different at all?
Well, I'm actually going to pass this one right over to Rissa because there is a weapon by the name of Splattershot Jr. that you tend to be a fan of, I would say. Having it brought out here, this is another weapon that got a really nice buff. That big bubbler is looking mighty thick.
Absolutely. I instantly was sitting here rubbing my hands together because I love the Splattershot Jr. so much. And you could see Duck Gang immediately able to push forward, use a bubble and zone, and hold the zone off of that.
Duck Gang taking the early lead this time around. They've got the zone, they've pushed forward, and they've done a fine job. And 9, this is what you want to see from teams that are trying to turn things around. Strike early, take control of the game at the onset, really put the pressure on the other team, and you dictate the terms.
And I mean, just look at how far back they've pushed them already here. That Tacticooler has one drink left that will certainly not be picked up. They sent Red Shell up to fight there. Now, if they were able to shark through and have another player sit at the right spot, there's an opportunity that they steal this game right now. Chara does run forward and trades out with that big bubbler. So right now, if Henry's able to take out another, this could be it. It's just one player stuck in an inkjet. That's not going to get the zone painted. Dripsy firing at it, but it's all gravy. What a response from Duck Gang.
Oh, Duck Gang.
Moly.
Quack, quack, baby. They strike back and all of a sudden show some signs of life. And after really struggling against Last Resort the first 2 games, they have arguably the most dominant victory we've seen yet today. And now they start to take some of that critical momentum as we talk about. Rissa, very impressive from Duck Gang what we just witnessed.
Really impressive. I think, you know, they had that Tri-Slosher. That was a main switch up. They had the Junior, and they actually switched to a ballpoint. So we've been seeing a lot of variety in terms of anchor weapons for them. Maybe, you know, that matchup of those 3 weapons was what is going to help them against Last Resort.
And so Duck Gang all of a sudden taking the fight to Last Resort. And 9, what's the response when you have had no issues with your opponent the first 2 games, then all of a sudden get blindsided like they were just now?
Well, you know, we said earlier that Last Resort was going to play to 2 modes in particular. They were going to be the speed modes in Rainmaker and Clam Blitz. And we said earlier, hey, if you're Duck Gang, you're just waiting to get to Splat Zones because that's finally going to fit what you like to do in your game. And I'll admit, folks, I certainly didn't expect it to look like that. But, you know, if you are Last Resort, kind of like we said earlier with Duck Gang, at least Splat Zones is out of the way. Duck Gang earlier said at least Rainmaker's out of the way. We know we're going to tower control next.
Then they
but
really have life.
again, like Rissa said, they changed up their comp a lot. They had something cooked up for that map and mode. That was their big counter pick. It's out of the way. Now we can get back to it. Now we can let our blaster, our S-Blast 92 of Chara go wild here on tower control. We can play more of our game.
Look at this, tower control is
a
next.
little good, not so untouchable anymore.
Yeah, sometimes
I'm
Rissa,
not
all you
really
need
sure
is
what's
just that
gonna
glimmer
happen
of hope
with
in
us.
the fact that, hey, if we ink them, they will splat. They aren't invincible. That can certainly help out a lot.
In this
So
qualifier.
now, do you imagine if you are Duck Gang that you continue to go with that change that you just made, or do you go with something different as we get set for tower control at Flounder Heights?
Really good question. I think, you know, they're really going to have to think about were those weapon switch ups that they did something, you know, thinking about talking to each other. Okay, was this bubble really effective for us against, you know, the S-Blast or, you know, the ballpoint? Just think about what in particular was it that really stood out that Last Resort couldn't counter. And if there's something that really stood out to them when they were playing together and they're able to talk about it and think what it was, I could definitely see that coming back in this next game.
Yeah, and with tower control, even though that the tower moves at a particular pace, 9, how does the mobility of Last Resort pair with the objective of tower control?
That's an interesting question because we know again that this was going over to tower control, but Flounder Heights being the choice here, again, the losing team picks the map, means Last Resort chose this map in particular, the most verticality of all the maps that we're playing, and this is a particularly difficult map to play tower control on, at least I think in part, because the opposing team can hide at all the right spots. You can ink up a wall, hide right there, jump out, and trapdoor spider your way through people right as they're started. So we said earlier that it's going to be much the same comp coming out each time from Last Resort. On this map and mode, I'm not so sure. It's going to be really interesting to see if they have something prepared again, because this is certainly the most dynamic of the tower control maps.
All right, less than 15 seconds away. Duck Gang doing what they need to do to avoid the sweep. A victory here puts all the pressure on Last Resort. Last Resort just trying to close this thing out 3-1. The winner, don't forget, will take on Starburst here in the next round. And so it'll be very exciting to see what happens. Let's see if Duck Gang will stick with their subtle changes that led to a huge victory in the last game.
Okay,
and they
here
do,
we are,
you see that Splatter Junior come on out.
This is
the
it.
Junior is back, and actually the
to
Tri-Slosher Wiper Deco are there, but there's also an Octobrush on the field for Duck Gang. Red Shell playing that Octobrush, played that a lot in Splat 2 and played it super well, was well known for that. So getting to see that come back here on this map in particular, I could really see that being helpful.
Some early missiles coming out, and Duck Gang right now Picking up right where they left off. They take the tower. They're threatening already, and you see the missiles just trying to do their job of displacing Last Resort. Duck Gang trying to get through that first checkpoint. They get splatted on the tower, and all of a sudden, Last Resort doing an excellent job of stopping the push right there, Nine.
Yeah, well, we already talked about one comp here. Let's look at the changes for Last Resort. They have switched Storm Hero, who is one of the best ballpoint players that you'll find, over to the Nautilus Splatling, already getting some mileage out of that weapon as well. It's going to be much better at fighting here, and they've also switched over to a Tri-Slosher Nevo, so they're going to be able to keep themselves a nice little attack cooler. Won't build it up quite as quick, but they have switched to a much scrappier, fight-heavy composition, as we thought that they might for this map and mode.
Both teams threatened the first checkpoint, couldn't get past it. All of a sudden, you see that tactical cooler comes out, but splatted right at the cooler, so no luck there. And Duck Gang responding pretty quickly themselves. And so far, both pushes here, Rissa, have been snuffed out pretty quickly.
Both teams have had their pushes shut down right away, and this game is looking a lot more even than the previous games initially against these two teams. So with both teams here just pointing fingers at each other, trying to make something happen, make sure they clear all these ledges like that. This Swiper Deco for Duck Gang able to clear that, and now ducking again on the tower, trying to get through this first checkpoint.
And Nine, what I'm really seeing is how much the missiles are impacting Last Resort. They really seem to be scrambling more than they are uniting and coming together on a front here, and that's really the threat that the missiles have and why people are so excited about them, as you see another member of Duck Gang go down, though, and the advantage for Last Resort.
Yeah, excited is a word to use to describe how people feel about missiles, but the one thing to note there, you said they have to scramble, but Last Resort is picking all the right spots to scramble too. You saw in a couple of their defenses, they scrambled to the right portion there to get a flank and have people turn around, and this time they actually took out the missile user before the missiles could even come out here. They're playing around it so well.
240 left. You've got Duck Gang. That's at 82. Last Resort has taken the lead. They're getting to the second checkpoint now. And so Last Resort, as we said, can close this out and move on to winners finals with a victory here. They have to hop off the tower, so they can't clear that second checkpoint, which is a huge relief for Duck Gang. But they are right around the tower and an advantage on the map at this point, as really just some short-range weapons are left at
This is it,
this
bredas.
particular
If purple
moment
keeps
for Duck
going.
Gang. And so far, Last Resort seems to have really taken control of this game here, Rissa, and a lot of the action is happening on the Duck Gang half of the stage.
I really like that Last Resort is they're pushing the tower. They got the lead, but they haven't necessarily completely wiped yet by trying to push the tower even further than that 54 mark. They're just making sure that they, like you said, are in control of middle here. They're in control of what's happening, and they're making it that much more difficult for Duck Gang to make something happen for themselves.
Oh, the Octobrush goes down, and the Zipcaster ready to roll, and so that's a nice little splat by Mecha, and that'll give the advantage for Last Resort. But it's Duck Gang still on the tower trying to get through that first checkpoint. Nobody's on it, though. They are surrounding it, and it's just a matter of getting those last couple of seconds, and then they'll finally have an opening to try and possibly tie this up with under 90 seconds left. Here comes Duck Gang moving their way. Inkjet going to push them back, and this could be the opening they're looking for, Nine.
Yeah, look at how far away they're already pushed. They built up their specials so well there. Just a couple more points. Chara not going to be able to fight through a big bubbler. Doesn't last nearly as long on the tower, but it lasts a lot longer than you'd like it to. Marching quickly, they are still attacking. They're going to get their second cycle of specials if they're not careful, but it does look like Mecha and Chara have fought through, putting down the Octobrush there, but incredible patience. Duck Gang only needed one opening, and again, keep in mind, Last Resort still has to fight through a checkpoint. That's going to be the big portion.
And that is the key thing right there. They weren't able to clear it last time, so that's going to make them a sitting, no pun intended, duck for Duck Gang here late in this game. And now, Rissa, if you are Duck Gang, it feels like you have got to really prioritize building up some specials and getting ready to stop this last push, because the clock is now your friend.
Absolutely, and with Duck Gang having 3 members down right now coming out from spawn, they're really going to have to take a breath here. There's only 15 seconds left. They have to take a breath, get some specials ready, and make sure that they play off of those accordingly. They have to play this really, really carefully to make sure that they put a stop to the tower.
Last Resort is at that checkpoint. They are surrounding it. Big Bubbler coming out that's going to provide some defensive support. The tower is snatched away, but Last Resort back on it. We're in overtime, but Duck Gang, oh, the Quack attack is back. They get the victory, and they tie it up at 2 apiece. And how about the response we've seen from them, Nine? After dropping the first 2 games and barely even putting up a threat, they now have a chance to reverse sweep Last Resort and As you
Maybe they
pointed
were
out, for
trolling in the
game 4
beginning
winner,
and all
they
that, like
can
barely
choose the
putting
game
off a
mode.
threat.
Yeah, I mean, listen,
That's
isn't
really
it so nice
crazy.
when we tell you at the start that
They
hey,
also
this
extended
team is going to be
this-
better on these 2 modes, and this team's going to be better on these 2 modes, and then those teams go ahead and win exactly as we called it out. But I do want to point out one thing at the very end of that game that was so crafty and so clever. The last member up left for Duck Gang, as Rissa said, there were 3 members
Dude,
down. Went to
there
the
was
tower,
one
took
Breda
one
that
player
saved
out,
their
and set a
bots.
beacon down on
Like,
the tower.
that's how
Somebody
I
from
feel
Duck
a
Gang
lot
immediately
when I
jumped
play
to it, and
online.
there was just a quick
And
moment
then, like, I
where
lose
Last
a lot, and
Resort
he's
said,
like, no, I
do we
can't
fire
be
at the
me
one
because I
player
do
who's
that
left? Do we
once
go ahead and
every
fire
now
at
in
the
a
tower
while.
for someone who's
So he
jumping
must
to
be
it?
the one
We
that
don't
is
know
the
who's
bad
jumping to
teammate.
it. We don't know where this player
80%
went.
of the
That
time, you
slight
know what I mean?
moment of hesitation, of not having a correct answer to give, was all it took for Duck Gang to regain their footing. And as we noted, it was going to take an incredible push to get past that checkpoint anyway. But again, a little creativity, a little imagination, and I mean, you have to think we're going back to splat zones at this point. I know the map can be chosen here by Last Resort, but I mean, what a response from Duck Gang after, like you said, Jordan, not putting up much of a fight in those first 2.
Yeah, you don't see that too often here, Rissa. So this is going to be an enthralling Game 5 coming up here. And so it is splat zones, you would imagine, if Duck Gang has the option to choose the game mode here. It will be splat zones on Umami Ruins, we've just been told. And so if you are Last Resort, whatever you had last time did not work at all on splat zones. I figure you're going to expect some big time changes because they were not much of a threat at all when we were at Hagglefish Market and they got shut out 100-0.
I think they're really going to have to think about, okay, that's the game that we last saw Splat Zones Hagglefish, where Duck Gang actually completely switched their comp around from what they had previously been playing. So maybe going into this Game 5,
Well, I
Last
was
Resort
saying
is going to
that,
think, okay, was it the bubble
Breda
that
said
was
hello
the
in
issue for us?
Twitch,
Was
and I
it that
missed it.
Tri-Slosher
Sorry,
that
Breda.
they switched
Easy
to?
coming.
Going into this
It says,
next
what's
Splat
up?
Zones
How are you
game,
today?
is
I'm
it gonna
good,
have to be
Breda. If
their
you're
play style
listening,
that they need to switch,
hope you're
or
doing
maybe
well
they
in
need
my
to switch
Breda
weapons
Insect.
around, like you
Welcome.
said,
Thank you
to
for
match
being
what
here.
Duck Gang is now bringing to the table in terms of comps.
We are watching the qualies.
So if you are Last Resort, you know Chara with that blaster can be very effective in one-on-ones, but is that the choice you go
That
with here in
Chara.
Splat Zones 9, or do you find something that can just ink a little bit more territory at a much faster rate?
It's a tricky question because what you need that blaster for is it is your only AoE clearing a certain
I don't know
portion
what you
around the
need. You
corner
need
if an
good
opponent
players.
is
You don't
hiding
need-
under there waiting
need
in
good
the
players,
ink. You
whatever
do
the
need
weapon.
that sort of weapon. It's one of the reasons why Sloshing Machine has been so strong for so long. It's a way to check opponents, keep them honest in a lot of respects. If you give that up, you are now opening the door for Red Shell if they opt to stick with the brush, or that Tri-Slosher that Rissa mentioned. All it takes for those weapons is you to not fire at them one time, and they are at worst trading with you. So, listen, you got here with one specific comp. This would be a very, very scary time to change it up. I'd be surprised if Char switches off of it.
All right, well, it's going to be Splat Zones and Mommy
Oh,
Ruins,
interesting.
and Duck Gang trying to complete the
Here we go,
3-0
Rivas.
reverse sweep after being down 0-2.
If they win
Be one
it,
of
they
the
win it
most
all.
monumental
Ducking, I mean,
comebacks we've seen in any of these tournaments. Can Duck
good
Gang
luck to all of
make
these
history
raiders.
here
Let's
at
see what
Mommy
happens.
Ruins, or will the only history be the ones buried underneath the dirt on this stage? We will see as both teams try to head to the middle. And Rissa, it looks like everyone's going to stick with what's been working for them throughout this entire set.
Yeah, both teams are sticking with the same comps that they have. The only thing is for Duck Gang, instead of having, like they just had no anchor in that last tower control game, they are switching back to having a ball point, so gonna be able to have range here for this Game 5.
Now, 9, obviously, it's a dual zone stage, so this will be fascinating. How does that impact things?
Well, first of all, it's going to make the Reef Slider a lot better in terms of riding it forward and neutralizing the zone quickly. But you can already see, Jordan, we're 40 minutes in, and finally a point comes off the board here. As long as you can control your own side, the opponent's going to have a difficult time scoring. Great work there by Henri to actually get a player out at this point. Now, Red Shell fighting forward, probably going to opt to go back and, yeah, go ahead and get a little paint on that. There are points to be had, and finally they will start ticking once again.
Duck Gang building a lead here early on. Last Resort trying to take down a couple of members. They do, so they're going to go ahead and take that left zone. They've got the right zone surrounded. If they can win the firefight, they do. And now all of a sudden, Last Resort has started to build up some points in their bank as they put the penalty on Duck Gang. And so a nice little response by Last Resort here in this Game 5. The winner will go on to take on Starburst. And already we see all 4 members, Rissa, really working well together as Last Resort has taken the lead.
Last Resort taking the lead, and I love that you can see they're making sure that they have
the
control of that top
this
mid
is
area.
This is
That's so important when it comes to Umami Ruins. You just need to make sure, okay, even if we only have one of the zones or we are stalling out the zones, just make sure you have that top mid control, like we see Storm Hero doing really, really well with that ball point. So Last Resort doing a great job at holding the zones here, making it difficult for Duck Gang to get back into the zone.
And that was big there, 9, for Last Resort to take the zone back, because that could have been Duck Gang. They could have stolen it for a quick second, put a penalty on, but now Last Resort has built up a 31-point lead with under 3 minutes left, and it's Duck Gang that is now trying to fight for that leftmost zone. The Last Resort able to just do enough. However, it is going to be Duck Gang, and here seems to be a big opportunity.
Yeah, all kinds of exchanges there that kept more points from coming off the board here. Keep an eye on these beacons. If Duck Gang can find some footing here, they are in a pretty good position, and they're going to have the missiles to displace. However, Last Resort tries to attack. They're going to start with their own missiles here. Going to have to move there. There's an opportunity to go in and make an attack. One down, but look at that. Oscar goes down on the zone, and yes, everything after here isn't looking so hot for them either, but that stopped any more points coming off the board. The missiles doing the same job they've been doing for years.
And now Last Resort, a critical pickup of the zone. You see the 29-point penalty onto Duck Gang now, and so it feels like Last Resort getting the zone at the most opportune times that they need to, and all of a sudden we see them starting to push forward a little bit here. If you're Duck Gang, you got to fight back, and now you're down 2 members here, Rissa.
Yeah, Duck Gang is really, you can see they're trying to figure out, okay, there's members of Last Resort coming around the left side flank, coming around the right side zone. They just need to figure out what to focus on together to at least push forward and take down members of Last Resort to at least cap one of the zones.
They're running it down, though. For them they need to make sure they regroup and figure out how to work together. They don't ink, it's over.
Last Resort trying to make sure that Duck Gang doesn't pull the reverse sweep. You see the inkjet coming out, but now it's up for grabs as far as that leftmost zone once again. That's been a big one that people have been fighting for. Under 90 seconds left. Duck Gang takes the zone, and now they've got a numbers advantage, 9, and here's a chance for them to try to lock out Last Resort.
Yep, and they're only going to have 1 or 2 more chances that you can see. Again, the bombs making it so difficult for Duck Gang to get any points off. I think one might have gone down to a wayward bomb there as well. Again, once one goes down and you start swimming down there, you are a sitting duck, no pun intended, for the ballpoint Splatling to close it out there. The ballpoint once again of Storm Hero going ahead and get another, now chasing down a third. Why not? And my, oh my, Last Resort heard us saying that Splat Zones might not be the mode for them.
Yeah, Last Resort really punctuating this game here and turning the tide on Duck Gang. Oh, a nice little double splat by the Inkjet. They want to try and leave no doubt about it with 40 seconds left. And now it feels like Last Resort, Rissa, they are in more control right at this moment than they've been in the entire game.
Oh, absolutely. You can tell they're really making sure they focus on things together. They're calling out if members are coming out of the left side of the map, of the right side of the map from Duck Gang, and making sure that they are playing together really well. And finally, for Last Resort, they're able to take down 3 members of Duck Gang. They're
losing it by
these zones and not letting Duck Gang come in at all. Able to take this game 5.
Has to
Last
happen
Resort,
for
you saw
someone.
the work that Arashi was putting in at the end right there, 9, but they hang on and they avoid the reverse sweep. They get the 3-2 victory.
Bredas, that was so close. I
this
really thought
Splatoon 3
that
Championship 2023 qualifier, but it'll be Last Resort advancing, taking on Starburst. But I do want to highlight what we saw from Arashi at the end there, 9, because being able to come around that center stack, that column, and pick up a couple of splats, it felt like Starburst was able to do everything they needed to at the end, thanks to some key one-on-one moments like that.
Well, earlier you asked the question, Jordan, is it better to have control of the mode or of the map? And we kind of tiptoed around it like, well, there's not really a great answer, but if you know the time to attack, if you can hold a top mid there, as Rissa noted earlier on, if you can make an argument that you understand how the map plays and that your comp works better on it, the answer is always going to be the map. And again, so many points Duck Gang left on the board because bomb after bomb trickled in, the suction bomb, the fizzy bomb, taking one zone, and right there at the end you said, Arashi, sense the moment, let's work around, let's attack with my very mobile weapon. And I mean, 2 game 5s, you noted it, Jordan, we have seen some premium Splatoon being played today.
All right, well, let's check out the bracket. It's good to go. We have our winners final set. It'll be Starburst that had to go the distance against Jackpot versus Last Resort that raced out to a 2-0 lead, but had to hang on there in game 5 and able to take it in decisive fashion. So these two teams,
and here we go with
catch their wind and get set to face off against each other, because what's on the line? An entry into the Splatoon 3 2023 championships, everything that every team is hoping for. So when we come back, we will have more action. Myself, Marissa, will bring you Winners Finals just around the corner. We'll be right back.
Winners Finals. When they come back. So we're gonna be here for a little while extra with us. I love it. I don't mind. I thought it was probably gonna be over soon, but no, they're still gonna have Winners Finals. I love that. And more commercials for Pikmin. So, you know, while we watch Pikmin, please remember that I also have a channel, not just on Nintendo. And we're right here. We're not gonna go anywhere. We're just watching on Nintendo commercials while you add me in social media. You can see my handles for Twitter, for Discord, for Twitch, Instagram, and Patreon. Please add me, bredas. It would be really nice to have friends and bredas. My newest social media, it's Rumble. I don't know if you heard about that, but it's not that hard to follow me, please. So go follow me on Rumble. It's really easy. I need 5 of you. Rumble.com/FRGTV. Just find me. If I just go to rumble.com, brothers, and then like rumble.com in the search bar, search for my channel name, which is FRGTV. Me, that is. And then like, yeah, I will be there. My beautiful face will be there. You click on my avatar and then you can follow me. You'll be able to see my channel and then follow me. I have nothing, of course, because I need people in order to upload. So thank you so much. We're right here. We're live. We're nowhere. I'm just showing you. Nowhere far. We're right here. I'm showing you my social media, like I said. And yeah, let's go back to the Nintendo. I know. Because, I mean, it's cool. We're here. I don't want anybody to think that I'm not here. I'm here with just watching this. Commercials while we wait for Winners Finals. It's gonna be cool. I hope that the best team wins. What do you think, brothers? Do you have a favorite team? Okay. I guess everything got possessed suddenly. This is on Nintendo just showing us that we can buy more. It doesn't end there. Almost over. I mean, the commercials, brothers, and then the Nintendo will be back with the championship. Just gotta eat a couple more commercials. And I wanna remind you that if you want, you can watch me play this beautiful game that you're watching on your screen. Is The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Kingdom is sad. The kingdom is crying. Join me every Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern Time, brothers, at FRGTV. Okay? And Splatoon will be right back with Sizzle Season tomorrow. So please watch the channel at 10 at night, Eastern Time. Yeah. Please tune in tomorrow, June 5th at 10 p.m. Eastern Time at FRU TV. We're gonna continue with the Ultra Super Jump Fest. Or challenge number 2 of the Sizzle Season. Isn't this cool? Okay, they will be back very soon. Here they are, brothers. Well, so I think.
And welcome back to the Splatoon 3 Championship 2023 qualifier. Jordan Can alongside Nine and Rissa. Here we are, winners finals, the matchup between Starburst and Last Resort as we go ahead and check out the bracket. Let's see how these two teams got here. Well, both of them had to navigate 5 game sets going the distance, but it was Starburst winning 2 games in a row at the end to take down Jackpot, and then it was Last Resort having to fight a reverse sweep from Duck Gang, and now these two teams find themselves with the winner getting a chance to go to the Splatoon 3 2023 Championships, along with the Championship Qualifier Trophy, 10,000 My Nintendo Gold Points, a Splatoon 3 jacket, backpack, pin set, and tech decals. Let's check out the rules here for winners finals just to refresh everybody. The higher seed will choose the mode, which means that'll be Starburst selecting the mode first and Last Resort choosing the first stage. After that, the winning team will choose the mode. The losing team will choose the stage. Those are your 4 modes. You have to play through all 4 of them before you repeat. And the stage list, well, those can only be played once. And that's been the big question here so far, Nine. Is it the mode or is it the stage? But it feels like this matchup here between Starburst and Last Resort, you pointed out, will Starburst fall for some of the Last Resort things that they try to throw out there as far as the wrenches into the gear system? And you're thinking Starburst might be too seasoned for that.
Yeah,
Well,
these
it's
brothers
seasoned
always
and
win.
also
That's
the
what
way
I've been
that
saying.
They have kind of built their product, right? Looking at a team like Jackpot, where we said earlier they need one opening, one special advantage, and they are going straight forward. They know where they want to attack very quickly. You thin out a little bit, whereas Starburst, they might not move immediately as quickly up, but it is a wall that is ever encroaching upon you of burst bombs, of crab tanks, of cycling specials. There's no wrench to be thrown at a wall. It simply bounces off the wall, and that's usually how that exchange ends up going. So This isn't me saying that there's no opportunity for Last Resort, but I think it, kind of tale of the tape that Last Resort's best mode is also Starburst's best mode in Rainmaker. So Starburst, no fear whatsoever of trying this against a Last Resort team that looked so strong on it last time.
And we set the stage like that because we want people to know, hey, there is a favorite and there is an underdog. And a lot of people like to root for that underdog, and that creates the excitement and the drama if the underdog can steal a couple of games here. And Rissa, if you are Last Resort, you're aware of what Starburst is capable of doing. You know their accomplishments. You look at this as a huge opportunity to really test your mettle. And now it's almost like this old guard of Starburst and what the meta's been so far versus Last Resort, the crazy scientist, right, bursting out of the lab with beakers burning and lab coat on fire saying, hey, I think I found something new. It's going to be exciting to see what happens.
You said that perfectly.
I get one per tournament.
There we go.
Yeah, that was perfect. That set that up just perfectly. I mean, you nailed that down there. Last Resort plays super chaotic, super fast-paced. And Starburst, like Nine said, I always say that too about Starburst. Starburst just sets up a wall when they play. Even though they may not be winning in that particular moment, they still know how to set up a wall and completely shut down.
Thank you so much, Bredas, for your likes and your subscribes. So if you haven't yet, please do it.
Maybe
remember that we'll be playing Blinko
new weapons they're playing
very soon, and you can win prizes, Splatoon 3 prizes.
Maybe they can utilize those to shut down that wall that Starburst
So don't forget to subscribe
or
follow me on Twitch.
If you want to be the best, you have to beat the best. So here is Last Resort, an opportunity for them to really gauge how much they've improved against Starburst, a team that has really set the tone for so long in Splatoon 3. We'll see how this one goes. It's Rainmaker. It was the choice of Starburst in that purple ink, and that's going to be Last Resort in the yellow. And you said it before, Nine, Starburst is going to play a little bit more methodical, a little bit more patient. There's so much purpose behind everything that they do.
Yeah, well, again, they understand that it's the push that comes after the push in Rainmaker, right? You can certainly, as Chara lands with an incredible trick shot there, oh my goodness. But you want, again, the push that comes after the push, especially given that Rainmaker, you now have a checkpoint as we see Last Resort approaching it very quickly. They want sustainability in all of their plays, and that's what that wall affords them.
Very green of you. Sustainability there, Nine. I like it. And so Last Resort, that early lead, but as we know, that is not safe at all in Rainmaker. And now it seems like Starburst is starting to get a little bit more organized. They've grabbed the Rainmaker and already starting to advance, and they're using the Tacticooler, a little bit of their own medicine towards Last Resort here, Rissa.
Yeah, able to use that and push up to get the lead, even though it's only by 2 points. You can see, though, Kyo is instantly jumping back in as Bagel is just stalling out this Rainmaker here on the right side, avoiding this Inkjet that's coming out from Storm Hero, and slowly getting to that first checkpoint. And just like that, not able to get all the way to the checkpoint, but at least able to get the lead a little bit further for Starburst.
And I'm going to say, Nine, that was a clinic on how to swim with the Rainmaker, avoiding the Inkjet, baiting it into shooting at different spots, and that helped Starburst build this early lead. And now they have an Inkjet. They're about to burst the Rainmaker shield. A lot of purple ink on the side of Last Resort, but they still can't get to that checkpoint. Last Resort here, Nine, doing a good job of playing a little defense.
I mean, they are hanging on by a thread here. One other goes down, but they always have one more person with the quick respawn up to hold on to this. You want to know what quick respawn looks like on the defensive side? It's like this. There's always one member left. Finally, Starburst has fought through them, cleared it out, but will the Rainmaker stall? Yes, we're going to get a Rainmaker reset, and they even got another Tacticooler out. So once again, they're going to be able to find their footing. Last Resort barely hanging on, but sometimes that's what you have to do against a team of Starburst caliber. And now they've grabbed it. I don't even think Kyo realizes yet. He's still looking forward.
And Kyo trying to back up, but those Tenta missiles coming down. Tacticooler is deployed. Triple ink strike splatted before they can use it, though. And so Last Resort had 3-2 on the map for a second. They're able to push it to 66, so threatening Starburst, but it's still Starburst with the lead here, Rissa. They are still in control.
Still in control, and you can see, I mean, we got to see that perfectly from Kyo's point of view. Kyo is continuously dropping down on this right side, creating so much space on the right side, and it seems like that's actually adding into factoring that Last Resort can't really take grasp of that and shut that down. So
this is so
Starburst
close,
able to get through the checkpoint at least, and now looks like they're going for getting more points here.
Bagel was finally able to clear the checkpoint, and so they've got an 8-point advantage. Under 2 minutes left to go. Last Resort has been scrappy as they go ahead and pick up another splat. Can they make it 2 in a row? No. Oh, but they do take out 3 members here, 9. Here is that window of opportunity, potentially.
Yeah, and Bran, the last one up, is running as far away as he possibly can, desperately trying to fight off and build up a crab. They have their own tacticooler on the defensive side, so they have enough resources to make this happen. Can they clear Chara on the S-Blast? Chara was able to get away. Bran is actually going to take a dive at the Rainmaker and takes out Arashi in the process. Hold on. 2 down, 3 down. Mecha's going to have a path to it. If they can get this pop quick, they could maybe take this lead.
That's the problem. That checkpoint is going to slow them down. It might be just enough as Starburst was able to respawn and regroup. Here comes the triple link strike. Can they avoid it? Third one goes down. Still some members of Last Resort up there. They take down a member. 4-3 advantage for Last Resort. Under a minute left to go. They have the Rainmaker trying to push forward. Can they take the lead? Last Resort. Oh, at the last second, Rissa. They get splatted and cannot take the lead.
No.
Oh, but yes, they do. They reclaim it. Rissa. How about the claim that they did at the end there?
That was so clutch. It was 3 down on each side. It was a 1v1 essentially. And I didn't see who that was on Last Resort, but whoever it was, they were made the smartest move there. They knew there was only 1 member up on Starburst. They grabbed the Rainmaker, pushed it forward, and got that lead all the way to 24. So really, really good thinking from Last Resort there.
They did it just like their name. It was a last resort push for them, and now it's under 30 seconds. They have just got to play some defense. Can Starburst close this thing out with the clock winding down? They lose the Rainmaker and a member. 3-3.
I can't believe Starburst is losing.
It's the opening 2-2 on the map now. A lot of space to work with here. How fast can Starburst regroup? They're getting some pressure on the Rainmaker. They pop it. Here's an opportunity. They've got 4 members there. We're in overtime. Trying to blaze a trail. You see that Splatana Wiper just sending yellow ink in the direction of Ice. Ice is trying to be patient. Will that purple ink wall be enough to push forward?
This is it.
Ice up top.
And that was
it
for Michael. So
you see a lot of the action on the left-hand side of your screen. You see suction bombs, Reslider coming in. Ice is going to have to move, but being patient might get flanked from behind, but yes, he does. And 9, Last Resort, able to do it. And how about the opening punch from them here in Winners Finals?
Well, it was done so nicely again, as we said. The real Rainmaker game played off screen there in overtime. That's almost always how it works. And
I can't believe that.
Diligently working ahead, trying to
wishing
find
somebody
where
else
the players
would
could
win
come
and that
from.
happened.
And you know, I have to give some credit to the mad scientist Pro Char there, building up the Reef Slider. There were groans resounding about the world when they saw that Reef Slider was what was on this nice fancy new blaster.
No, I don't feel anything.
One thing you have to say about it, it can go forward and you can't do a whole lot about it. You can punish it after. But if the only thing that's there to punish you is the Rainmaker, that's going to be one safe lane. That's why Ice dropped off. Arashi waiting for that exact moment. Listen, we said it earlier. It's the favorite. It's the underdog. Underdog. Up here.
That was me rooting for the underdog.
Yeah, Underdog's got a little bark to him, and so we see that first game go in the direction of Last Resort. And Rissa, what does it do for their confidence when you just beat Starburst at the mode they chose to open up Winners Finals? You've got to be feeling very good moving forward about what you were able to do in that first game.
Oh, absolutely. They have to be feeling good from winning that game. And like we've talked about so much, Rainmaker is Starburst's best mode. They do so well on that. But I think, you know, we're thinking about what we've talked about so far.
I don't know.
We talked about how Last Resort is also great at Rainmaker and Slam Blitz. So it's really interesting seeing these two clash. You know, they're both good at Rainmaker, and I feel like that game, we really saw that highlighted.
Well, it's Clam Blitz and Eel Tail Alley coming up next here, and so 9, you nod your head and you aren't surprised at all at these 2 choices as far as the mode and stage from our winners and losers.
Yeah, Eel Tail Alley Clam Blitz, one of the most popular and commonly played Clam Blitz maps in the entirety of Splatoon 3, and the moment that it was Last Resort that won that game, we all kind of in the back of our heads were like, yeah, we're going to Clam Blitz. We know it's Clam Blitz here. They're not going to go to one of the other 2 modes
if it was me,
it
I'd be Clam Blitz. Give me some Clam Blitz right now.
Earlier, Starburst, clearly a very strong team. They have a comp that they have built specifically for this map and mode. It's where the Rapid Pro Deco comes back out from Bran. They shuffle it around a little bit. They know how to attack on it. So again, I would have told you the exact same things about the last game and the last map in mode. So again, we will see a team that's willing to change their comp versus a team that really is stuck with the same comp, albeit a very new comp.
Yeah, what was surprising, Rissa, was that you mentioned the wall for Starburst, and if you keep hammering at that wall, you're going to eventually knock off enough bricks to break your way through, and that's what we saw from Last Resort. It was push after push after push, and they almost took the lead, and then finally it was just enough pressure at the end, and it feels like that resiliency, but especially the quick respawn. That is the story with them that we've talked about before. They can get back into the action so swiftly. Made a huge difference in that last game.
That was what my brain immediately went to too. They're able to play off of that tactical or the quick respawn that they have on their gear, and just like you said, keep throwing that at the wall, keep throwing players at that wall that Starburst creates. So I think that's a really, really good thing to point out. Moving forward as we go into this next game too, see if they do that as well.
Well, we're going to go to Eeltail Alley, where we are going to blitz some clans here and see who's going to pick up the second game. Last Resort can put a lot of pressure on Starburst if they can pick up a second win in a row. But as Nine said, Starburst, they were born to play this map in mode. This is why they have their loadout. This is something that they can apply tremendous pressure on. And you imagine here that if you are Starburst, you have to be the aggressor early on. Nine set the tone.
Well, you have double crab tank here. I don't think you have much of a choice if you've got this comp. You saw immediately they tried to move Kyo up on that left side and then follow up with a crab tank. They finally are able to close one out, two out now.
Here we are.
Those two were tactical, so it's not going to take long for them to get back into the action. So this opening, not as big as it may first appear, but again, this is what it's going to be. Can we create enough of an opening with the crab tank to move players up, take out 2 or 3 before they get tacticaler? They're going to need that if they want to make these sustained pushes. So far, so good.
And just like that, look at the score rack up here as Starburst is able to push forward. They get a power clam and a bevy of clams in to take a 62 to 100 lead. We'll see if they get any more here. And a nice little opening gambit from them, and now it's Last Resort that'll have the ball in play. Tacticooler comes down, but a splat bomb just in time to go ahead and diminish any effect from that. And so Starburst in prime position defensively here, but they still want to kind of take the fight to Last Resort here, Rissa. They don't want to sit back and just be stale at this moment.
You can see they used that whale, they had used the crab, and I love that they used them right away because they had them ready. They didn't let Last Resort take more space than they needed to. And still, look at this. Starburst coming out with a tri-strike. They had their second crab as well, and they are really trying to shut down what Last Resort is doing. As we see a trade happen at the top of the screen, and it looks like it's working for them. Last Resort just has to figure out, again, how do we get through this wall that Starburst sets up?
See the beacon go down. That'll provide a little bit of support and how fast they're moving with that tacticooler, of course. But is it enough? No, they can't escape Starburst, and all of a sudden it's 4-1 on the map, a near wipeout 9.
I mean, just clinical there by Starburst. You cycle your specials, you position properly, and the moment that you mark one player and take another out, we go forward. The time is now. Points flying off the board. Some missiles will finally get people out, but there's still a crab tank coming from Brand. Chara does shut it down, but again, it has been all Starburst thus far. This is, again, why they are such a strong team. You noted earlier, eventually bricks come off the wall, but there are a lot of bricks on this wall and a lot of championships that this wall has won.
You can enter
they are really starting to take the momentum, not only in this game, but potentially in this set with the way that they are dominating Last Resort at this moment. Last Resort hasn't really been able to even threaten with a power clam at this point. They tried to sneak through there at the tail end, but finally getting splatted, and so Last Resort is doing all that they can to protect their own base. They can't even think about playing offense at this point here, Rissa.
I see.
They can't. They're just trying to make sure that they clear out their base. You can see Starburst was trying to it almost seemed like Starburst was trying to set up for another push there. They had that power plant, but Last Resort at least able to sit back, take a breath. You see they're paying up for their specials. Missiles are ready. Their tacticulars out. So if they're able to utilize these specials correctly, maybe they can make something happen.
Because I don't want to be
like one of those bredas. As soon as those missiles go out, that's when you want to move forward because you know it's displacing Starburst. But the problem is they're still so far away from the basket.
But not 14
hours. Well, that's the trick, right?
So
what's the follow-up to the missile? We fired the missiles, the opponent is moving, and now what do we do? Are we going back and trying to build a special? Do we have enough legitimate follow-up? So far, it appears that the answer is no. That's a tacticooler and a missile that has been cycled now. They've got nothing to show for it except for a couple players going down. No real map control. Let's make it 3 down now. It's been all Starburst thus far, and have as much quick respawn as you want here. If you keep going down this quick, it's not going to matter.
That just means more splats
hope
available
one day
for Starburst. The faster
out
that
of
they're
the
coming in
streets.
at this point. So here comes that killer
Thanks
whale
to
that's going
you.
to provide even more support. And you've got a dominant lead,
1
28
minute.
to 100. Last Resort has yet to even get a power clam thrown in, but you see a lot of action going back and forth, and right now Starburst in full control. We've talked about this wall. It is evident here in this match because Last Resort has yet to really play much of this game, in the half of Starburst, Rissa.
Yeah, Last Resort is trying to use their
30
specials.
seconds,
They're
they
trying
just
to use
fell
that
asleep.
reef slider.
They
They're
just
trying to use
never
the
scored.
inkjet. They're trying to use the missiles. They're trying to use all of that to even get into mid, and that's an issue for them. They cannot
not
even get
carelessly,
into mid,
you know
let
what I mean?
alone
They
get
just
to
couldn't
the
do it.
other clan basket to score. So Starburst is absolutely puppy guarding mid here. They are not letting Last Resort move.
Another shot on the basket. Here's a chance for Starburst to
they're
really
camping.
put this game
Puppy
out of
guarding
reach
is-
for
I
Last
call it
Resort.
camping,
10
but
seconds
what
left. This basket will close here, but it feels like the writing is on the wall as Starburst responding in dominant fashion here. It's going to take Last Resort a miracle push by them if they want to try and take this game. They finally get near the basket, but already just chased out of there, and they've got a power clam. They're going to try and go for the jump, then the toss, trying to hide behind the wall with the killer whale, and splatted right before they can get that power clam towards the basket. Going to jump in, and here we go. They get one, but the second one's going to follow up.
They
I don't
did
think they're
go
going to have
one.
enough there, though, Nine, as we obviously see Starburst clean things up.
No, that was their freebie clam that they knew they were going to have. That was the jump in there. They were going to need a lot to be done. And again, no right answers for Last Resort in that scenario.
That was a
Starburst
very, very
so
good
strong.
game.
Folks, we promised you there'd be a few less crab tanks maybe in this set than you've seen in the past. Throw that out the window when Starburst comes up, right? Yes, that weapon has been dinked and dunked all the way
that
down.
crab
A little nerf here, a little nerf there, some duration changing there.
Those people don't
It's
think
double
that they
crab
have a
tank and it's
combo.
Starburst, right?
keep
It's going to
saying that.
continue to work, and with Ice being willing to switch over to that Rapid Blaster Pro Deco to again check around corners, a little chip damage here, it makes the long log shots from that crab tank all the more powerful, and you saw what it looks like there when it's firing on all cylinders.
Splat zones will be coming up next, so obviously this is the game mode that Starburst feels very confident in. And listen, they're not going to change their loadout too much, Rissa. You're going to see maybe some subtle changes based upon the map, but for the most part, this is what they do. And we've seen how effective they can be in splat zones, especially in that first matchup against Jackpot. It feels like if you are Last Resort, you're going to have to continue to find a way to just find that aggression that you had. We didn't really see that aggression at all in this last game that we saw in game one where Last Resort got the victory. Anything that they might do to maybe retool their process as they get set for splat zones?
Last Resort, I don't know in particular what they might have to do. It almost seems like Starburst has really honed in on what they need to do in particular against Last Resort. So Last Resort, maybe going to have to play a little bit more patiently, maybe play a little bit more painty, try and get more paint on the board to be able to move around better with their aggressive weapons. If they're able to get to a point where they're able to do that, I think maybe they could make something happen.
You bring up a good point, Rissa, and for Nine, that last map, Eeltail Alley, it's such a long, narrow map. That really takes away a lot of the left and right mobility that if you are Last Resort that you can take advantage of. So you get the sense that you get to a different map that's going to help play your strength of mobility a lot more than what we just saw in Eeltail.
Yeah, where do you come in from on Eeltail Alley, right? How do you get back into the action without taking
Right down the
damage?
middle.
Yeah, the answer is you either go through a slosher, you either go through a blaster, or you go through two crab tanks. There's no correct answer in that scenario. You're going to take damage just to get back to the middle of the map. So I agree entirely. Eeltail Alley, the perfect pick in that scenario for Starburst to make some magic happen here. An opportunity to be had, and again, I don't think they're going to change their comp up too much.
No.
No, you probably won't see much of a change there. However, the map will be selected by Last Resort, and I can bet you it'll be quite a bit different than Eeltail Alley. And so
Here
we're
we
getting
go.
set for Splat Zones Game 3. It is tied at 1
It's
apiece.
time.
Don't forget the winner will get a chance to enter the Splatoon 3 2023 championships. And yeah, you really can't go much different than Eeltail Alley, Rissa, than going to Flounder Heights.
Right. This map there's so many different flank spots. There's so many different areas to hide underneath that bridge. You can flank around to the other side zone. You can there's so much chaos that can ensue here. And Eeltail Alley, like we said, it's a straightforward obvious map where the path is. This one, however, there's a multitude of paths that can be taken.
And 9, go ahead, because we just saw something exceptional right out the gate.
It's just not fair. You build up a crab tank from that distance, you hit 2 people, they have to move back, and Bran is already there with the follow-up. Look at these poor missiles that are simply trying to find a few people. You're going to continue trading people out. You still have to fight your way back to the zone. It appears they've done that for just the right amount of time, but again, more points coming off, and again, fighting through double crab tank. It's not going to be an easy feat for them.
Inkstorm coming out for Last Resort does just enough to make it a bit of a stalemate at this point. However, with those 2 zones, you see Starburst moving forward there, just a few drops of ink away from claiming it, and they will continue to build their lead. And now you see they are well positioned on the top half of Last Resort's half of the map, and here comes all the pressure, Rissa, where they're just going to have a purple ink storm just apply so much pressure and make things difficult for Last Resort.
Yeah, you can see they not only took control of the zone, took control of that left side of the zones, but they also decided to use the aggressive weapons that they have. Use those sloshers to push forward and play really aggressively. That kind of actually has slowed down Last Resort a lot. 2 members of Last Resort go down. The last 2 remaining members are left alive, trying to get to the zone to at least stall it.
Starburst, very dominant, 11 to 100. They might serve up a bagel here to Last Resort, but Last Resort finally able to get on the board here. And now let's see if they can stabilize and try to get that higher ground. And 9, yes, they have more space to move, but it feels like Starburst right there wherever Last Resort is trying to get to.
Yeah, but that's the real frustrating part. Look at that. Just when you finally have a little bit, the last person left up is Ice, goes to the other side, uses the incredible mobility of what Burst Bomb offers you on this stage. Take zone, you turn around, and then surprise, surprise, everyone else is back. Oh, you lost track of Ice. Well, he's in a crab tank now. Deal with it and figure out what you're going to do later. That's, again, the chaos that is brought about here in Flounder Heights almost plays exactly to what this main weapon and sub want to do.
So you see the sizable penalty for Starburst. However, they're not going to worry about that because they're starting to advance even further than they have so far in this game. See the reach slider coming in from Chara. Chara trying to retreat with that blaster. Drops down below. Triple ink strike dropping down. So Starburst having to retreat a little bit as Last Resort was able to claim that other zone, but a still sizable lead. And you know, if you're Last Resort here, Rissa, it feels like you got to try and win a couple of 1v1s just so you can position yourself to go a little bit further into Starburst territory.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's exactly what we just got to see. The members
this is their
of
chance.
Last Resort,
It's a
they
wipeout.
had control of their zone. They finally waited to regroup, had some specials ready, and then we just saw them all charge at this right side of the map to play together and finally get those picks. Now that they got those picks, Starburst is the team now having to come back from spawn, get their specials, and regroup.
And so now Starburst trying to come back in a hurry, but Last Resort was able to score a decent chunk of points, and you see a sizable penalty for Starburst. So Last Resort not out of it yet, but now that first zone up for grabs as that triple link strike will claim it in the name of Starburst. They can't threaten the second one yet, and feels like 9, Last Resort had stabilized a little bit here, but you see 4-3 advantage all of a sudden for Starburst, and here comes that wave, and there it is.
Again, they're going to use their specials to give themselves the room that they need, and then they're waiting on you to make one mistake. That time it was actually Mecha on the Tri-Slasher who super jumped back in and got taken out by a wayward triple ink strike. So again, that's how they've worked their way through here. Credit to Last Resort holding it off again, but we said earlier you only get so many chances against Tacticooler because it'll keep coming in. It's the same when the opponent runs double crab tank. Eventually you're going to have to prove that you can get through one of those crab tanks in a stable fashion, and that's a very, very difficult thing to do over and over again, no matter how much quick respawn you have.
Yeah, near wipeout for Starburst. They are back in a prime position here as they continue to put the pressure on Last Resort. Last Resort having to go up that ramp. Moving to the left-hand side here. Cooler comes out. That's going to help the team move faster, but not ink that you need right now because you were down with both zones in 30 seconds left. A couple of splats, though. 4-2. Here's the chance for Last Resort with 2 specials ready to go as well, too,
is not like killing.
Last Resort, they know they need to at least push forward and cap the zone. Able to take down one of the members, 2 of the members now of Starburst. And this is exactly what they needed to do.
They have
look at that. The last one of the last remaining members of Starburst was sharking there. They're able to take it out with 5 seconds remaining. Last Resort needs to cap the zone.
A couple of splats there. They've got to get the zone. Not in time, no. Oh, Last Resort. You thought
I'm
they were going to
set.
take it to overtime 9, but Starburst doing just enough at the end to pick up their second win.
Well, I mean, how's about a taste of your own medicine there? You saw last resort. We had the perfect perspective there. All right, we've got the zone. Wait, they're behind us. Okay, we've got that. Wait, they took the other zone. Now we'll go. Wait, they took the other zone again. How did they keep fitting these jumps in? And listen, Kyo has never met QR that he didn't like. He is one of the big proponents of that ability as well. And when you run a Tri-Slosher, you know that there's going to be at least some QR on that Tri-Slosher. So for them to, again, prevent by way of simply neutralizing one zone in a 2-zone map, last resort from moving forward means that that final hold never had a chance. Little awareness right there. You don't get this far without a trick or two up your sleeve, I gotta say.
No, not at all. So it really feels like Starburst has found the counterpunch to Last Resort here. After Last Resort took that first game, now Starburst in full control here, Rissa. And even though Last Resort was putting up a little bit more of a fight midway through, it's just, again, you can't make any mistakes or else Starburst will make you pay.
Starburst just consistently make sure they have eyes on everything, it seems like. And even though Last Resort plays in this really fast-paced fashion, they make sure they have members all over the board. It seems like Starburst is just doing a great job at making sure they have eyes on all of the chaos. They're not letting Last Resort, get away with doing things like that.
All right, well, we've got a matchup here coming up. We've got Tower Control and Undertow Spillway, and this will be another one that we're familiar with seeing here. And 9, what do you see between these two teams? If I'm Starburst, I want to close this out. I've obviously been very familiar with this map and mode. How do I pick up the dub here?
Yeah, this will be an interesting one because earlier we noted that Starburst had a double blaster composition that they brought out specifically for Tower Control. Now, they did not win that Tower Control map. I know that was against Jackpot, but I think all of this speed that you've got right now, the wall, the stability, it's a little bit harder to maintain when you are on double blaster. Certainly there's a ceiling maybe that you don't have, but I'll be interested to see if they bring that out, if they simply move Kyo over to the blaster and have everybody else go with more tried and true picks. But we'll see, and we won't have to wait much longer.
All right. Starburst trying to punch their ticket to the Splatoon 3 championships this year. Can Last Resort force a Game 5, though? We've talked about the value of winning Game 4. The control is in your hands. We'll see if Last Resort can grab the Power Glove here, or else it's going to be Starburst that'll find themselves in yet another championship opportunity. Early on, Tacticooler coming out. You see some missiles that'll be fired here very shortly, and just like that, the tower taken by Starburst here. A quick strike from them, Rissa.
Yeah, Starburst initially takes the tower, tries to actually play off of that inkjet that they had out as well, but they do have 2 members down now. It looks like Last Resort, they just rushed that left side, and in that aggression, in that rush, they're actually able to shut down what Starburst was setting up. Now another member of Starburst goes down as well, and Last Resort is just trying to get through this first checkpoint.
Yeah, and one of the earliest checkpoints as well, too, 9, and this can be a tough one because it's right at mid and all the action is right there, but Last Resort, we've talked about it. It's your last game, potentially, as far as being in the winners' finals. You want to be aggressive coming out, and we've seen a different look from them already, 9.
We have. They've done such a great job. Kyo admirably held that tower almost single-handedly for the better part of a minute, but eventually one will not hold against 4. And now this is the really intriguing part here. This is one of the tower control maps where that second checkpoint actually puts you in a great spot to fire upon the people who are going to try to defend the tower. Certainly with an inkjet, you can get up there to do it. But if you think that the opponent's going to be putting a crab up there, you can pre-fire, you can put the blaster right there, and they've marched right on through it without any of that. They've taken 2 down already.
Yeah, you saw Arashi and Kyo going toe-to-toe, and Arashi just buying enough time for his team to get through that second checkpoint. Didn't allow Kyo to flank in on the tower, and so now you've got the lead for Last Resort. 2 checkpoints that Starburst has to go through still, so it feels like, Rissa, you're Last Resort and you can just keep the tower in the half of the map for Starburst. That's going to put tremendous pressure on them as far as trying to get back.
The longer that Last Resort stalls out the tower here on this left side, like they have been doing, the harder it is for Starburst to make something happen. That is just that much more precious time that Starburst needs to push the tower for themselves. So finally, Starburst now able to take the tower, able to break through what Last Resort was setting up. But you can see on the right side, Last Resort they are back here. They are setting up their defense right away.
Oh, when they take down the crab tank that was on top of the tower, that was an opportunity for Starburst, and they get wiped out 9. And one of the more impressive defensive performances we've seen here today.
I mean, the fundamental of Splatoon is put your crab tank on the tower and let it carry you towards the opponent. Storm, with simply accurate shots on the ball point, was able to take that out, take out the other member who then had to come over to sit on top of it, and then got even more on top of that. I know Storm went down right there, and Kyo is going to try to do a victory lap and will maybe stop that tower. I know more points came off the board right there, but make no mistake, Storm, the incredible individual play opening this up.
Yeah, 3 specials ready to go for Starburst as well, too. They're going to hang on to those, but a member goes down, and so now it's 2-1. And Last Resort spawning quick enough to get right back into the action. Here comes that Reef Slider. A little trade there, but you'll take that when you have the lead that you currently have. And so Rissa, Last Resort, they have really put an amount of aggression into their offensive scheme that has really put Starburst kind of on the back heel here.
It seems like they're almost playing a little bit more patiently when it comes to their pushes. They're making sure that they play together and make things happen. Now, though, Starburst here, they're in control of the tower. They're at this checkpoint, and they are past the second checkpoint. So this has actually flipped quite a lot now. Last Resort is the team trying to get to the tower and stop it.
Just as we said that, here comes the crab. Can the crab get on top of the tower, though? It's going to have an opportunity to. Can't get that left claw on it, and so the lead is still in favor of Last Resort. Starburst threatening to take the lead with about a minute left. This would be huge. Nobody on the tower. Tower's going to go ahead and get sent back. So Last Resort doing enough right there, but here comes Starburst once again. They just want to make sure they've got this thing surrounded for the final minute.
This is incredible.
I mean, we said earlier in the Rainmaker game, they do just enough to hang on, and once it touches that checkpoint, it's not going to need a whole lot. Thank goodness they have missiles here. That was the only thing that was going to move Brand's crab tank. Chara goes down, they're moving forward. It's just Storm who's going to have to make the most incredible play you've ever seen. Can only run away, losing the lead with 30 seconds left. Starburst, the pedigree, comes through, and that's another checkpoint down as they march towards the end.
And Starburst looking for the KO. Can they get it down the stretch? They took the lead back. Under 20 seconds left. Last Resort will have to go the distance here, but Starburst wants to put a lid on the comeback. 13 seconds left. 2 members of Starburst on the tower, and they are going to send Last Resort to the canvas with the KO, and Starburst will be your first winning team, and they are headed to the Splatoon 3 2023 Championship.
It is what it is. I wanted somebody else
we say it again with
experience
Starburst.
that,
You
they're the
have
best.
to play them for
So they
every
get
single
to
second of
experience
the mode. If not,
victory
they will
for
find that opportunity. And
Starburst.
despite Last Resort looking like they were in control for this entire game,
Good
all
job,
it took was
Starburst.
just enough momentum at the end, and Starburst was able to just overpower Last Resort and get that KO.
And that's something that I see consistently from Starburst that is really, really impressive. You know, even if they're down in situations like that, we saw Last Resort absolutely dominating the beginning of that game. Starburst just has this mindset where they can sit back, play patiently, and tell themselves, okay, it's fine, we got this. And they consistently do that, and that's why they're the top, one of the top teams here in North America. So just being able to just have that patience, say, okay, we got this, is something that I think Starburst just is really good for them.
All right, let's go ahead and check out the bracket here as Starburst doing what Starburst does, and that is win championships and win tournaments. And so, as we said before, that trip to the Splatoon 3 2023 Championships, the Championship Qualifier Trophy, and a host of goodies as Starburst can set their controllers down and relax, knowing that they took down some pretty fierce competition. However, when we come back, though, it's going to be Jackpot versus Duck Gang, and we saw Jackpot take Starburst to 5 games. Duck Gang was able to take Last Resort to 5 games, and so this will be very exciting. Don't go anywhere. When we come back, we'll bring you the first matchup of the losers bracket. We still have one more slot to fill for the Splatoon 3 Championships 2023. We'll be right back.
They'll be right back. Bredas, thank you so much for watching this with me. If you're out there watching, thank you. Please like, subscribe, hit the notifications bell button, be my Breda in the Switch if you want to play with me. I play Splatoon 3, that's why I'm watching this. You probably know that already. If you didn't know, there you go. I play Splatoon, and you can join me every Splatoon day. I call Saturdays. You can join me at about 12 Eastern time, generally. So I typically post a schedule so you know when am I gonna be live. And if you don't see a schedule, I'm probably not gonna be live. Anyway, we're watching Don Nintendo's commercials here. But please feel free to add me in any or all of my social media, which you can see on your screen instead of Don Nintendo's video now. You can find me mostly everywhere as FRGT. So, go for it, add me in places. My newest place. It is Rumble. I don't know if you heard about Rumble. I have a Rumble channel now, but I can't stream until I have 5 viewers that are followers per se. So, please follow me on Rumble. I appreciate if you do. And yeah, we're just gonna wait for the finals to continue. The qualifiers to continue. We now know that I was gonna say Starburst is going to the finals. So that's what we know now. We still have one more game to decide. The third and fourth places or something like that, I think. So don't go anywhere, there's still more battles. Right now it's just commercial time, so do not go anywhere. I mean, maybe the bathroom and then come back, but that's it, come back. Shouldn't take you long. And then the Nintendo is gonna show us the rest of the matches. Not after we watch Zelda and Splatoon again, of course. You probably know the drill by now, right? You've been watching this. Of course, and this Mario stuff. Okay, now Splatoon again. We can dance to the ska that Don Nintendo created and announce that I'll be here tomorrow. Yeah, you heard that right. If you're watching in your life, I'll be back very soon for the second challenge. It's not gonna be long, probably an hour. Or maximum 2, because that's maximum what the thing lasts, bredas. But you know what I'm saying? It's late. So I don't know, I'm just gonna do the challenge and be done. But of course, I'm gonna lose the challenge. I don't think that I can just do the challenge and be done like that. I need help. So I hope that you join me tomorrow at 10 p.m. Eastern time. Because I'll be doing the Trizuka Challenge with Don Nintendo. And hopefully you. Here at FRG TV. Thank you, brothers. I really don't know the weapons. All I know is that I have to use them for the challenge tomorrow. That's all I know. And that I'm gonna lose. And I'm gonna lose. That I'm gonna lose. That I know. Yeah. But join us, please join us tomorrow. Monday. 10 p.m. Eastern Time. Thank you so much.
Whether it's to play your
June
favorite
5th.
game,
I mean, in any case, you forgot what day is today.
to play
Tomorrow
for
is
school
Monday, June
pride,
5th. Play for school pride? What's going on, though, Nintendo?
or for the thrill of competition. Play competitively with Play Versus. Visit playvs.com
Oh,
today
I
for
see.
more information.
Varsity High School PlayBS.com. Alright? They're right, brothers. Let's see what happens. Please like, subscribe, hit the notifications bell button, follow me on Twitch. Add me as your friend in the Nintendo Switch. Donate some money live if you wish. There's this link also under the video description. There's so many things you can do, brothers. You can say hello in the chat because it's open for everyone to say hello. At the moment, we're waiting for the Nintendo's friends. So, yeah. Almost done, I think, with these battles. Of course, these people are so good. I really, it's like, regardless, it's gonna be fun, even if it's not first place anymore. So let's see what happens. It seems that they are back now.
And welcome back to the Splatoon 3 Championship 2023 qualifier. Jordan Ken alongside Nine and Rissa. We've been going at this for 2.5 hours, and we are just getting started with loser semis. That's how tightly contested this tournament has been so far. Let's go ahead and check out the bracket and see who will be inking their way for another trip to the Splatoon 3 2023 Championship, where Starburst has already punched their ticket. We've got Jackpot taking on Duck Gang. Both of these teams lost Game 5 in their respective semis. Whoever wins this will then take on Last Resort. And so, Nine, you look at Jackpot, and this is a team that even though they dropped down to loser semis, they are right up there with Starburst as one of the best squads in North America.
Absolutely. Until last month, you couldn't say that there were any teams on par with Starburst, much less that could beat them in North America. And now Jackpot has done it in a previous tournament, so they certainly feel like they deserve all the accolades that Starburst is getting, and I'm sure they are looking immediately straight forward to their path to try to get a rematch later on in the year with Starburst. Duck Gang will be a tricky opponent for them to get through, very different than what they played in Starburst, but for Jackpot, they have to be feeling confident, maybe a little bit angry with the way that last set ended.
Yeah, I imagine, Rissa, you get to Game 5. They were up 2-1, don't forget, over Starburst in full control, you obviously feel like, okay, we can take care of business against Starburst. They've got to prove themselves now in loser semis. As Nine mentioned, Duck Gang, a team that can give you issues. They were down 0-2, almost reverse sweeped last resort. And so if you are Duck Gang and you are the underdog coming into this, we do like to set up the title cards like that. What do you have to keep in mind against Jackpot? Are they a team similar to Starburst where it's going to be this wall, or is Jackpot one of those teams that is just going to look for that one opening and push like crazy?
You know, Jackpot is kind of a mix of both of those things, I feel like. They have that ability to set up a wall and hold spaces when they need to, but they can also, like we've seen previously, Madness and Leafy do, you know, play really aggressively and make things happen if they need to just, in the flick of a switch, make something happen really, really fast. So when you're Duck Gang going into this, you know, definitely Jackpot is going to be on par with what Starburst is and how Starburst plays. So you got to be really thinking about, okay, we're going into this first game. How do we get a feel for how Jackpot's playing? What can we do with our comps? Because like we've seen previously too, Duck Gang has switched up their comps. So they might, you know, take this first game to get a feel for what Jackpot's doing and then switch it up as we go on.
And we are going to have a
Here we are, brothers, we're back.
Mode and stage. It is Splat Zone's Hagglefish Market, which has really been a strong combination for both these teams here, Nine. We saw what Duck Gang was able to do when they were down 2-0, just mop the floor with Last Resort in Splat Zones at Hagglefish Market.
Well, interesting to note here, I would argue the centerpiece of that comp is nowhere to be seen. Rissa, there's no Splattershot Jr. Instead, Drifty has opted to go back here to the NZAP 85. They're going to try to tactical their way through, but that is a dangerous game to be playing against a team like Jackpot.
We see Jackpot come in there with the Inkjet and already take the zone and take out 3 members of Duck Gang and Rissa. They are pushing forward. No qualms about what they are trying to do. They're going to lock you out and make life miserable for you to try and get back to the middle.
Yeah, if you look at Jackpot's comp too, there's the double ball point. There's a splash, which has a crab. So that's, you know, almost kind of like another splatling that you add to your comp when it's in effect. So, I mean, Duck Gang here tries to get in, but Inkjets come out from all angles, and Duck Gang not quite able to get back in with all that range that Jackpot has.
Jackpot so far dominant, just coasting their way. A 70-point lead at this point. However, Duck Gang does have a numbers advantage. They're going to have to strike quickly, though, to at least apply that penalty. Can they get any closer? They do a wipeout at a critical moment, and that's going to tack on 63 seconds of penalty for Jackpot. And now it'll take a little bit of time, and Jackpot wants that KO. And here's Duck Gang. All it takes is one turn of momentum here, Nine, and hopefully they can try and seize it here if they want to get back into it.
Yeah, probably not where that jump was intended to go. Very lucky to be escaping is Henry here on this tri-slosher, but wow, 3-4 people shooting at that 4-player on that side, and an incredible direct to close out Madness as well. Hold on a minute, that was 2 players that they probably should have been able to get, but with enough precision, they've done it. And now suddenly you're starting to see it's a little difficult when you have to rely on the Inkjets in long range to get back in. Jackpot's gonna need a nice shot here if they want to fight back in.
This is quite the turn already. Duck Gang, they were down by nearly 80 points, and all of a sudden, they might take the lead back from Jackpot. Hanging on for a couple more seconds, and Duck Gang has snatched the lead like soggy bread in the water here. And Rissa, all of a sudden, they've just got to push out here for 6 more seconds.
Just 4 more seconds. They're continuing to take down members of Jackpot. And Duck Gang secures game 1 of the set versus Jackpot.
This is why we play Splatoon 9,
I really
because you
can't
never
believe
know
this.
what's going to
That's
happen.
intense. That's
In one moment,
not
it
the
looks
team
like
I
Jackpot
expected
is
to
cruising
win.
to a KO. Then all of a sudden, the plucky gang is able to come right
Look
back
at
and
that.
post an
That's
unbelievable
intense.
comeback. And listen, you pointed it out. If you have those long-range weapons and you get pushed out, those aren't the best approaching tools necessarily against a team that is going to be moving fast and has some excellent shooters. This was unbelievable by Duck Gang, and I imagine this builds tremendous confidence going into the second game.
Either.
It absolutely has to. And, you know, the ballpoint splatling is a very versatile weapon. Positioned properly, it's got a good sub-weapon in that Fizzy Bomb. It's got a great special in that Inkjet as well. It's got all the tools. Running double ballpoint does not mean that all hope is lost, but you start to see
of this
one
battle
player gets pushed off
is
to the
also
side, they
getting
have
a
to run
ticket
away. Suddenly you can't
to
position
go
where you would like to.
play.
Your margin gets a little more thin than if you had run maybe 3 frontline
We
weapons
don't
and then that
intend-
ballpoint splatling on the
So
back.
it's really
And
nice,
that's
isn't
really
it?
all it took. They weren't able to get much follow-up off of their Inkjets, and credit to Duck Gang as well.
Yeah.
We questioned if they could win. We questioned the change on the comp. There's your answer. Up 1-0 over one of the strongest teams North
No, they
American
have
Splatoon
only
has
one
ever
game.
seen.
Let's see.
Yeah,
They
this
need
was
to win
similar
every
to
other
the
game with
winners
3,
finals, where
4 at
Last
least, I
Resort
think.
took the first game, and now we'll see how does Jackpot respond. They've obviously faced adversity before, and
Here we
you
go.
know,
4
Rissa
out
for
of
Duck
5,
Gang,
I guess.
this is how you do it. You don't quit. That's what we saw in their entire set where they were down 0-2. Now that mentality, they just got to take it one game at a time here.
This team, they have all previously been a team together, so they all know how each other plays. And then, like we talked about in the very, very beginning of this stream, this team has actually been known to cause upsets for higher level teams like this. So, having a game like this against Jackpot, I think, is a great start for Duck Gang. They just need to continue doing this moving forward when we head into this next game.
All right, well, we will get set here. It'll be interesting because Duck Gang gets to choose the game mode. And obviously the map will go to Jackpot here. I imagine if you're Duck Gang, what are you leaning towards, Nine? What do you think where you might have the advantage?
Well, we just got word from on high that it is Rainmaker that has been chosen here. So this is another interesting one because, again, Duck Gang, a team that did not play so well the last time Rainmaker came up against them. Now, that was against Last Resort, but we said this is a tricky team. They do have the ability to switch up at times. They can run the missiles. They can run that new Wiper Deco as well, set up some beacons, throw a wrench in the machine, as it were. And we're going to Eeltail Alley as well. So, again, you feel like maybe you can take advantage of some of these high points, hitting over the sides of things. I think there's a real opportunity for them here because they have shown a willingness to be more versatile, to change their comp up, and from Jackpot, it's been a lot of the same.
And this will be interesting because Jackpot's not afraid to shake things up as well, too. And when you get two teams here, Rissa, that aren't afraid to adjust, it's going to mix things up. It's almost like who can have the best counter pick, and as far as who's going to maybe get that upper hand with strategy. And so you look at what needs to happen here for Rainmaker and what we've seen from Duck Gang. What is going to be the top priority for them? Why do you feel like they chose this specific game mode for the way that they play?
Ooh, I think, you know, a lot of it comes down to the fast pace that they can play out when they get set up. If they're set up like we just saw in that first game, they can make things happen really, really fast. So going into Rainmaker, it's almost reminiscent of Last Resort in a way. If they can get set up and make things happen, they can set up beacons, they can jump to each other when they are holding areas. So if they're able to just capitalize off of that play style, I think they can make things happen, and that's why they went ahead with this one.
Yeah, it really feels like at this point, Nine, if you're Jackpot, you never want to get down 0-2. So I imagine picking this up is crucial because when you know what's at stake and what you can possibly win, it's different being down 0-2 with a chance to go to the 2023 championships versus 0-2 in just an online tournament. It's going to be interesting how these teams handle the pressure and the stakes.
Well, Jackpot's going to have to find an answer here pretty quick. You take a look at their comp here. They're going back to what I would consider much more of a Jackpot comp. They have finally put Leafy back on a shoot her to let her run wild, I should say. And on the other side, they're going to be switching back over to that Tri-Slosher that we talked about here. So it does look like Jackpot found an answer here. They might not be able to get it here. Red Shell perfectly placed, but did go down in that exchange. There's a scuffle here before Jackpot can finally find some solid footing.
4-3 on the map. Duck Gang was able to get a nice couple of trades there to stop that first push from Jackpot. You see the Rainmaker right there, but they're in no hurry to go ahead and grab it. Almost like they just let it reset. And as they continue to find their footing, it seems like they're playing a little bit more patient here, Rissa, finding that perfect opportunity instead of just stepping on the gas full speed.
Oh, absolutely. You can see they waited to take down members of Jackpot, and they waited to grab the Rainmaker. And that patience, waiting for the Inkjet too, waiting for the specials to move forward with that played out perfectly for them. They are already able to clear that first checkpoint. That's going to be really, really helpful throughout the rest of this game.
Duck Gang clearing the first checkpoint. Jackpot now with the Rainmaker. All 4 members on the field. Trying to push forward. They pick up a critical splat. That'll make things a little bit easier. Trying to jump up above and get to that checkpoint. Teammate moves forward to apply a little bit of pressure. That trade is critical, though, because that opens up the door, 9.
Yeah, and again, it's Jackpot knew eventually they're going to force the fights they want, and they're going to capitalize. .Q could absolutely break this game open with one good inkjet here. Has found a target. The target will not escape. That's another one. Goes down to 3. A wipeout. They are going to sprint to the finish. And, well, Jordan, you asked why you go to this map, to this mode. There you go. The proof is in the pudding.
All right, so Jackpot quickly evening things up at 1-1. That wipeout leading to the KO. And Rissa, that's exactly the response they wanted to give, not only for their own confidence, but to kind of send a message to Duck Gang that, listen, you might get us for one game, but don't forget who we are. We are Jackpot.
We really saw that there too. You know, initially they had grabbed the Rainmaker. Duck Gang had put a stop to that push that Jackpot started to try, and Duck Gang was able to get through that first checkpoint. But then all of a sudden, Jackpot, you know, we talked about sometimes they can play a little bit more aggressively, or sometimes they can set up a wall and play a little bit more patiently. There, they took the moment to play aggressively. They made something happen, and they definitely showed Duck Gang that they are still in this.
So now they switched to a different loadout, as you said here, 9, and now we have tower control, and this was their choice. And I imagine you won't see much of a deviation from what we saw as far as their loadout, because that right there was a much different result than what we saw in game 1, where Duck Gang was able to kind of ice them out.
Yeah, and I would say tower control is the Jackpot mode as well. So you can bet your bottom dollar that they have exactly what they want going into this as well. And, you know, we kind of called out there just 1 or 2 fights going a certain way. I think it's important to note the real advantage of playing an aggressive style where you're constantly moving forward and attacking is you no longer have to pick your new targets because one of your teammates is already fighting somebody. So when you saw that inkjet come out, was able to take one member out, I guarantee you, I don't have their voice chat up, but I guarantee you somebody immediately told Q where to fire next. She turns, clears another, 2 down, it's a wipeout, and we win the game right there. That's the Jackpot way, and it has served them well thus far.
All right, tower control, Flounder Heights. It's one of those interesting maps here where there's a lot of verticality, right? That tower's got to go up and down before it can go east and west for the most part, and this was a map that has a lot of mobility. We saw this from Last Resort. You play Eel Tail, you kind of get bopped around a little bit. Now you want to go to a map where there's more mobility. It feels like that's the focus for Duck Gang, is how can we move around and use our speed and evasiveness to help give us an advantage.
Absolutely. They're going to be wanting to take all those different avenues that you can get into mid to make things happen. Like I said previously when we had this map mode on stream, you know, this map has so many different flank avenues, so many different things you can do underneath the bridge in terms of surprising, sharking, and Duck Gang, with the way they play, I can absolutely see them wanting to do that here.
All right, tower control, Flounder Heights, and 9. Once again, if you are Jackpot, you feel very good about tower control. Now that the map's a little bit more wide open, do you lean back to some of those more longer distance weapons, or do you stick with what you saw and have so much effectiveness with in Rainmaker?
Yeah, I think there's a 0% chance we see Leafy go back to that ballpoint if it's not that exact map and mode as well. She is too darn good at running forward and attacking the opponent, making their life incredibly difficult. And yeah, I expect that Splash-O-Matic to stay there until given a really good reason not.
All right, well, you see the loadouts. Here it is, Jackpot, after getting the KO and 1 lead at this point. We'll see what happens now as they make their way.
We're losing them, brothers, for whatever reason I'm here.
A team that is so confident in their capabilities and what they can do. Can Duck Gang continue to show that resiliency that we've seen before? And already they decide to go the route of the cooler Duck Gang does. We build a little bit of speed, and here's a little key 1v1. However, down they go, and Jackpot now able to try and move forward with that tower slightly.
Yeah, if you're forcing all of these odd 1v1s, it means that it's going to be a very difficult way back in if you are able to succeed. If you trade, you're sort of playing into what Jackpot is wanting you to do with these fights. But credit to them, they stuck together. They had the right members stay up at the right time. Sometimes that's the key piece, knowing who is closest to special, who needs to take the risky fight. Right now, they are moving forward. They have the right specials. They have the tacticooler up here. I believe this recall is going to get pretty close to the tower. It does get taken out, but this is already a very nice opening as Red Shell fights through.
So Duck Gang, as you see right here, applying all sorts of pressure, and this is what we've continued to see from Duck Gang, is their ability to just not fold. They will continue to fight, and we saw the fact that they're being a little bit more patient as well, too. You've got 4-4 on the map currently, but it is Duck Gang fighting through this next checkpoint, and 9 going back to you, this tower. And Duck Gang, they really have a concerted effort. They are on the same page right now.
They are. That's another really crucial fight because that's a couple more points that they will get. Make no mistake, it's the small stuff. And it also means that everyone was looking that way, did not see this Tri-Slosher sneak through and get the fight. Red Shell did get taken down there by a Wayward Bomb, got caught out. But it has been all Duck Gang.
Just got everyone almost.
Another one goes down. And now once again, a Wayward Bomb has to close out the deal from Madness. But Jackpot, can we just please find some control in mid? Can we at least get a push started? 2 minutes into this game are already gone.
Yeah, and Marissa, that's the difference. It feels like Jackpot cannot get off the back foot as soon as they try to push forward. There's a member of Duck Gang right there meeting him in the face, and you're not seeing Jackpot really break through like they're capable of doing.
Yeah, and this is what we talked about, you know, in the beginning. Duck Gang, they're going to be wanting to play in that chaotic fashion and use all the different avenues of this map. It fits their playstyle perfectly. So Jackpot finally regrouping on the tower and getting through this first checkpoint to move forward.
All right, but don't count Jackpot out yet. Here they are. It's their best push of the game so far. See that Zipcaster trying to get behind, but the Octo Brush gets snuffed out, and now it is 4-1 on the map, and here is where Jackpot can strike right here, 9.
Yeah, no gimmicks this time. They had run through, they'd used all their tricks, and eventually Jackpot has wisened up to it. There was no value gotten off of that Zipcaster. This tower is moving forward. Henry has an opportunity here to hold on to it. Let's see. They will take the lead as .Q wins a crazy 1v1. If she had lost that, they would have been stuck at 31 points, and all of the work would have been for naught. But they will come away with a hard-earned lead, and it's going to be very difficult. That is half of the penalty that is, or the checkpoint rather, that is gone. That's how far Duck Gang is going to need to get.
And that's what's amazing, Rissa, is it is a difference of maybe 6 or 7 seconds in this entire game. And all because of one key play allows Jackpot to take the lead after
And thank you
being
to every
nearly
breeder
tied
that
at
passed
that
by
point.
and
So
gave
now
me
Duck
your
Gang,
likes.
no,
Thank you
don't
brothers
count
for
them out.
watching
They're
this
moving that
tournament
tower
with
and
me.
having no issues with it as they advance forward. This
And
is a
liking
key
this.
1v1.
Thank
Keep an
you
eye
for the
on this.
views.
Here
Thank
comes the
you,
Slosher
everyone.
raining down. 10 missiles
I
ready to
hope
go.
to
Have
see
to
you
try and get them
tomorrow
out before they get
again.
splatted.
I'm Froggie.
They will
Hi.
get those
If you're
deployed.
new to
That'll
my
try and
channel,
spread out
welcome.
and
I
maybe
hope to
buy
see
enough
you
time
who
for
play
Duck Gang,
challenge.
but no, they get splatted, and it's just an
Trizuka
inkjet that
challenge
has to retreat.
tomorrow.
Rissa, that was huge by Jackpot.
That was such a clutch defense there from Jackpot. That got so close, literally within 4 points. So Jackpot getting the specials they needed at the last second there to make sure they had their defense ready was super, super clutch on them.
Yeah,
And
they
9, all that
defended
work,
really
and now
well. I
the
was
tower's back
talking.
at mid, and you have just 45 seconds to try and push it nearly to the goal. And it's going to be a matter of Jackpot, I imagine, switching to more of a defensive focus. and getting
25
those
versus
specials built
29.
up.
This is it.
Yeah,
brothers.
and once
30
again,
seconds.
no value gotten off of that Zipcaster. The Octo Brush, so strong in going forward. It doesn't need a whole lot, but you saw Madness was already turned around knowing where that Zipcaster was going to go to close it out. All of these fights mean that much more. Jackpot has their tactical up, so even if they lose this fight, they're going to get the opportunity to have one more. And keep an eye on .Q. She is going to hold on to this triple ink strike as long as necessary.
Here's .Q just sitting back with that triple ink strike. You see 7 seconds left. I imagine it'll be deployed here momentarily to close things out. Here come those triple ink strikes trying to put a stamp on this one. It's headed to overtime, able to pick up one splat. Zipcaster coming through, but it is not going to be enough as Jackpot picks up game 3 and a 2-1 lead. But Rissa, it came down to the performance of
still
.Q.
means
when things
nothing,
were
brothers.
essentially
It's
tied at
just one
31.
little
Being
lead.
able to just
Let's
hang
see
on
what
for a couple more
happens.
seconds and make an incredible one-on-one play was the difference for Jackpot in this one.
Yeah, sometimes just having the patience and then just being able to have the game sense too to make plays like that happen is so good. Definitely shows why Jackpot is one of the top teams right now in North America. So just having the game sense to know, okay, just wait, we can make this thing happen. Just wait and have some patience to do it, and that's exactly what .Q was able to do.
All right, Clam Blitz coming up next here, 9. And for Jackpot, what are they looking for in Clam Blitz? Obviously, this is a team that can be successful in any mode, but this is one that can possibly work out pretty well for the loadout that they have and their style of play. What stands out to you here?
Yeah, the map's going to mean a lot here, right? Because we have seen now what an Eel Tail Alley looks like, and when Jackpot can force all of these fights on their terms, get a burst bomb here, a little chip damage there, you saw what that looked like. It wasn't pretty for Duck Gang. So I think if you're Jackpot, you run generally the same sort of comp here, maybe a little bit more sustainability from one of these weapons, and the only adjustment that you would make would really come on what map is chosen here. I think if there's anything that's going to flex, it's going to be .Q. We've, of course, seen here kind of be the MVP of a couple games, both with the ballpoint splatling and, of course, with that Neo Splash-O-Matic. I think they're really waiting on that before they truly lock in what they're going to go for in this game number 4.
Yeah, the map's going to play a huge role in this, and if you are Duck Gang, where do you give yourself the best chance here, Rissa? And I imagine, again, they fare a little bit better when they have more mobility. The good news for them is they won't be locked into Eel Tail Alley, but you look out there, maybe an Umami Ruins might be a good pick for them. Nice wide open map that gives them the chance with that mobility.
You know what? That's actually right where my brain went to, was Umami Ruins. They're gonna have that. That map is good for them because there's a lot of open space for them to make things happen, but there's also a lot of places where they can shark around areas, make plays happen with their sharks, and that quick play that they like to do. It has a little bit of both of those things, and I could see them making that work.
You know, it's nice when sometimes these players make us look smart. It is Umami Ruins, and it will be Clam Blitz, and so we'll see how this goes. It's the game mode that, well, if you're Jackpot, you have to play because you have to go through all 4 of them first. But this is the map. If you are Duck Gang, it gives you a chance to move around. And so what's critical here about movement on Umami Ruins here, 9? Because you've got a little bit of an elevated mid here with some other points that you can apply some pressure. But is this a map where, especially on Clam Blitz, you've got to get that first initial punch and then you'll take the lead? Or can you really take control of this game at any time?
Well, like a lot of Splatoon 3 maps, this is one where it's very difficult and very telegraphed with how you're going to break out of your own spawn. So more than a lot of the other maps on Clam Blitz, I would say the biggest frustration for these teams is going to be if the opposing team scores and doesn't go 2 or 3 down in the process, you're going to have to use some specials and fight hard simply to get back to mid. The clam spawns on this map very much favor teams getting push after push after push. So this is where that pedigree, that patience, and again, an understanding of your opponent's respawn timings when you are safe to move forward versus when they've jumped back in is going to give you the edge.
And obviously a little bit of pressure for Duck Gang too, Rissa. It's a different type of pressure when you know that if you drop one more game, you're done for the tournament.
You
and
know,
for Jackpot, they know they're 1 win away from getting an opportunity to play against Last Resort for that other championship spot. And so if you're Duck Gang, I imagine you got to take a deep breath here. You have shown that you can come back in these sets. No need to panic right now.
Yeah, absolutely. This is prime moment where you say to yourself, okay guys,
Here
we
we
got
go.
this.
It's battle
Just
time.
take a deep breath. You know, we've gotten this close in these games so far. We've taken a game off of Jackpot. So just got to tell yourselves, okay, we can do this.
And that's so true, Rissa. They were essentially a 7-second series away from taking game 3 from Jackpot. That's all that separated these two teams in tower control. Here it is. Will this be the final stand for Duck Gang, or can they force a game 5? Jackpot would love to put it away right here. It will be Clam Blitz. However, the map was chosen by Duck Gang, so maybe they can take advantage of the extra space that they have here. Early on, 9, where does the strategy fall as far as how many clams you want to try and gather at the beginning and when you time that first initial push with the power clam?
Well, it's a good question because you can kind of already see what Jackpot has opted to do. We have one player here who's going to be our clam carrier working around. I said earlier that the clam spawns on this map favor attackers. If you can gain some control of mid, you will happen upon clams by accident. There's a lot of teams that can't manage that, and yet this map makes it that much easier.
So far, neither team has really threatened the other's basket. You see the crab tank coming out here. Power clam in possession for Jackpot, a 20-2 difference as far as total clams that have been coveted on this map. And so they're certainly doing a fine job of picking up the currency. But now here comes that killer whale. Duck Gang doing a good job up until that moment here, Rissa, of staying alive on this map. But now they're able to answer back and take one from Jackpot.
Duck Gang here is finally pushed back into mid. Jackpot just had control of mid. They just had this top mid area, which is so important to have control of. Now, Duck Gang is the team that has control of that. You can see these last two members just making sure that they're guarding it, playing this really carefully. And so far, you know, this is so back and forth. Members of both teams keep going down and just continuing to have these trades.
Nice little pickup there on the Inkjet, and so now it's Jackpot that's retreating a little bit here, 9, and there's some opportunity there for Duck Gang potentially.
It's a push and pull, right? One side retreats while the other side moves up here. The left hand always knows what the right hand is doing, and it's that much more difficult again because of this centerpiece that you either have to waste time climbing up or swim all the way around. These teams once again have traded out a player. It's buckets on each side that'll be respawning as the team tries to gather their forces in the center. Again, tacticalered up, you'd think that it's Jackpot at the advantage, but another one goes down.
No, and Rissa, they had used 3 specials there in the past 15 seconds, and they haven't made up any ground or taken any advantage, so let's see if Duck Gang can build up a couple. However, slight person advantage on the map up until then, and now Duck Gang continues to just hold strong here.
Seems like Duck Gang, you know, when they get control of an area, they do a really good job at holding it, whether it's 2 players, whether it's 3 players. Even if they have a member down, they can do really good at holding spaces together. And so far, that seems like exactly what they're doing now. Able to get another trade here. So again, we're left in this situation where both teams have essentially the same amount of players on the board. They're both really looking to make something happen.
9, will somebody score, please? I mean, this has been nearly 3 minutes, and nobody's even attempted a shot at the basket. And you talk about evenly matched, and there's an opportunity once again. Jackpot trying to bring in some teammates, but, I mean, this is just a stalemate in the middle of the map.
And again, look at that. They try to jump back in to get some follow-up there, but they all get taken out on the landing. Q goes back, punishes. Now we have to back up a little bit more. And, you know, it's so funny on open maps. You think that if 2 or 3 goes down, there's going to be an avenue to move forward. That has not been the case at all. This central fixture been such a difficult nut to crack for all of these teams. Although finally, with 3 of them down and 1 swimming forward, it's right there, Q, please!
I was about to say, don't adjust your screens. This is Clam Blitz, not Turf War. And finally, Jackpot able to get something on the board, but that'll give an opportunity to Duck Gang, who's now wiped out 3 members of Jackpot. And Rissa, you got a minute 15. It's only a 20-point difference. This is nothing for Duck Gang to overcome if they can just threaten the basket, as it looks like they're going to try and approach it here, trying to go from up top. They're able to get the power clam in, but can they follow up with anything? No. Sneaking in, and they take the lead right there, Rissa.
Henry able to sneak in there on the left side and score another clam in to make sure that they get the lead, and it's not by much. It really shows how back and forth this game has been so far. So good on Duck Gang there to make sure that they at least went and scored that final clam in to get the lead.
But 9 back the other way. Jackpot, tacticooler, and they've got a power clam, and all they need is just to get that in the basket to take the lead, and they do right there.
Yep, and this is going to end up being a lot more here. Poor Drifty, that's a wipe out there. Look for them to try to extend this as long as they can. The clock becomes a factor at this point. If they still have an open basket at the end of the game, that'll be it if they don't knock it out before then.
Jackpot just pouring it in. A expertly timed
10
push
seconds,
and a
that's
wipeout that comes
I'm
at
gonna
the
call this.
most opportune moment. And now Jackpot just has to hang on for about 6 more seconds and some change, because they have got full control of this one. And they are going to find themselves into losers finals if they can just close this out. We're in overtime. Duck Gang trying to do all that they can, but it'll take a titanic effort on their end for a comeback. Here's Leafy trying to come in. Leafy picks up the splat.
And if they do score that goal, that's their miracle. Their miracle.
They get the power clam in. Down goes 1, but they only have 1 member left. 1 more splat, and they're just trying to stay alive.
Enough people.
Time is running down, but it's going to be too little, too late for Duck Gang, as Jackpot able to close it out and take it 3-1 and find their way to losers finals. We're up next. They'll face off against Last Resort and Rissa. You have to applaud Duck Gang for what they were able to do. They fought hard, but at the end, it was just too much Jackpot.
Absolutely. Duck Gang really showed that
so
they
the teams
stay
that
on par
are in the
with
final
the way that Jackpot plays,
that
play at that level. But
go play
Jackpot just was
live.
able to take better advantage of the
Wars.
openings that they got
In
there. We saw
Jackpot.
that there perfectly at the end, so that it ended up working out best for Jackpot.
All right, well, Jackpot going 4 games, 3-1 victory over Duck Gang right there. So let's go ahead and check out the bracket and get set for losers finals. It'll be our final set of the night. Last Resort versus Jackpot. What's at stake? Well, the second
Last
trip
Resort.
to the Splatoon 3 2023 championships. It's right there for one of these two teams.
Versus Jackpot.
We'll find out
Who will
is
get the
able to make
ticket.
it when we come back here in just a moment. But before we do, big thanks once again to Duck Gang. It's great to see teams like that 9 find their way here, even though they're reformed and reshaped.
One of
It's
those
great to
two
see
gets the
some
second
fresh
ticket,
ink
he said.
hop in
So
here
I
and put up
had
a
it
good
wrong
fight like
right
they did.
before.
Well, I think
Star
it's a
Wars has
reminder,
the ticket.
too, that these games
Jackpot
are often a lot
still needs
closer
to
than
fight
they may
because
look
they
at
lost
the end.
both
Jordan,
in,
you expertly
like
called
match
it, how
5.
close
I
that tower
remember now that
control
he
game
said that
really
they
was. There's a
lost in
lot
match
of just
5, both
little
teams,
minor
so they
things
have to
even
face
in
each
that
other yet
Clan
again.
Blitz game
Now
where
Last
suddenly
Resort
things change drastically if
Jackpot.
one fight goes
And
a different
now,
way. If maybe
either
one
one
player
of
scores a
those
clan
is the
before they
one
go
that
down,
gets
maybe
the
that means the
second
other players are
ticket.
able to retreat. But again, a tip of the cap to Duck Gang there. A great fight there. Not easy to take even one game off of Jackpot.
All right, we'll step aside when we come
Alright.
back.
They gonna
Losers
put more
finals. It'll be
commercials,
Last Resort
brothers.
taking on Jackpot when we come back.
And then there was a finals for the second ticket. While you watch this, add me on any or all of my social media. These are no Nintendo commercials, but I'm putting my stuff in the middle of it. Not only for Don YouTube to not copyright strike me, but also for you to give me the chance. If you're out there and you're listening to this beautiful song in the background and my beautiful voice at the forefront, be my brother. Add me, follow me, give me your support or your money off street. Give me off the streets. I've been selling crack. How do you do that? You just like and subscribe, hit the notifications bell button, follow me on Twitch. All of those things that people do for streamers. Thank you so much, brothers. Thank you so much. And let's keep watching the Nintendo now that you've been watching all of these handles from my social media. Why not? Let's watch actual Don Nintendo commercials again. And try not to cry with the beauty of it. Okay, the possessed thing. Almost over, brothers. And then now the Splatoon commercial are almost there, brothers. Froggie Nation! Froggie Nation! In the Extreme Jump Battle, whatever that means, look at that platform. Those are the challenges coming up very soon, brothers. I'll be back for the Trizuka challenge. Tomorrow, 10 p.m. Eastern Time, please tune in at FRG TV. And I want you to remember that this is not over. The second ticket is gonna be given away now. They're back, mostly, so let's see what happens, brothers. This is it. 4-5 games maximum. This is for the second ticket, and this is almost over. I mean, they could surprise us and extend this like up to the 5th game. It's possible. Let's see what happens, brothers. I think they're gonna be back any second now. I'm not sure at this point who's gonna win, Last Resort or Jackpot. Who do you think is gonna win, brothers?
And welcome back to the Splatoon 3 Championship 2023 qualifier. Jordan
And thank
Ken
you so much for the
alongside
likes. If
Nine
you
and
haven't yet
Rissa.
liked,
Here
subscribe,
it is,
hit the
losers
notification bell
final, our
button.
final set of the day, but it has extreme importance because the winner of this set will join Starburst, a trip to the
watching
Splatoon 3
Froggie stares
Championship
at
2023, a highly
the
coveted prize
Splatoon
right
3
there for all these teams. Let's go ahead and check out the
qualifying
bracket and see how our
championship
two teams got
qualifiers.
here. It'll be Jackpot
2020.
taking on Last Resort. Jackpot, don't forget, took Starburst to Game 5. Starburst had to win the final 2 games to take that set. Last Resort picked off the first one against Starburst before Starburst went 3-0. And so 9, Jackpot is a team that still plays more of what we've seen from the current meta in Splatoon 3 since it came out. Last Resort, their calling card, they looked at the updates, the sizzle season, and tried to figure out this is the direction things are going. We're going to buy some futures right now.
It's a nice clash, right? It's an argument, a disagreement between these two teams, and they're going to have the opportunity to prove that their way of approaching this game is correct. And again, we talked so much about Jackpot at the start, Jordan, and how this was a team that had a legitimate stake as maybe the best team in North America, which not a whole lot of teams in the past 5-6 years have been able to do.
Yeah.
But Last Resort has always been on the tier below them. So if you wanted the underdog story, a team that could finally punch their ticket and get into the conversation, there isn't a better matchup that you could hope for.
I
the
didn't
final
know that
slot of
about
this
Last
year's
Resort.
qualifier.
Good.
And that's what
Good
makes
for
it
them.
exciting here, Rissa, is that you've got Last Resort, a team that has certainly showed some spunk, and that what they're trying to work with here as far as a lot of tactic cooler and some of the new weapons, there is a future to this meta, and it is going to change. Whether or not that change comes today or later, we'll find out. But here it is, another opportunity for them to
This
test
is the
just how
last
far they've come as a
resort.
team.
I love that we've got to see them play already here on the stream
She
and
didn't like
see
my yo.
that they're not playing
like,
what the old quote-unquote meta is. So
Here it is,
as we
with
head
us.
into this first game, you know, we get to see if they're going to be playing that same comp that they previously have been.
Tower control, Undertow Spillway, and looking at that comp so far, it looks pretty similar to me, but let's go ahead and see both these teams race to the middle. And 9, we've seen Jackpot have a lot of success with tower control, and what they're able to do last time against Duck Gang, they basically won it with a 7-second burst that changed the entire look of the game. I imagine for Jackpot, once again, it's just finding that opportunity and finding that chance to push.
Well, and finding a weapon change for the first time here, .Q has brought out the Rapid Blaster Deco here. This is a weapon that has been in the game for a little while. It's not one of the newest ones here, but it is an Inkjet user, and we have said over and over, .Q finding ways to make plays, takes out Mecha, who was desperately trying to slow down that tower push, and now goes ahead and takes out another with Leafy. .Q holding onto that tower for dear life. No one's taking it from her.
.Q, a wipeout for Jackpot at the beginning, and that'll help them get to that second checkpoint. And Rissa, as we know, the second checkpoint, Undertow Spillway, that's a huge advantage for the team on the tower coming up here.
Oh, absolutely. If they're able to get through this second checkpoint, then it tends to snowball after this point. You know, they're going to have those specials ready. Like we see this Inkjet coming out, this Tri-Strike coming out. Those specials are going to slow down Last Resort that much more.
Jackpot still pushing forward. They get to the final checkpoint, finally slowed down as Last Resort is able to use a lot of specials to push him off the tower. And now Last Resort can finally let that tower reset for the most part. But the damage has been done as far as Jackpot getting that opening hit. And 9, now it's going to be up to Last Resort. How do they try to get that tower moving forward and start playing on the Jackpot half of the map?
Well, the first part of the checklist was don't let Jared take out 2 members of your team on a flank, and they did not manage to check that box, as it were. So finally, it appears they'll have fought their way back to mid, but they had to use a couple specials to do it. It was a tacticooler popped very, very early into that. All the members of Jackpot are now back and will have a say in how this push starts. .Q is positioned well. They're firing at Char, and of course, they've snuck Madness up as well. So expect to see a lot of this. A couple players on each side going down until one team makes a big error.
Yeah, we see Storm Hero doing a fine job with that Splatling, just playing the backliner here for a moment as they finally get to checkpoint 1. However, they don't have anybody on the tower. The Inkjet is out as well too for .Q, and that's just putting all sorts of pressure on Last Resort. They can't find any daylight right now in Undertow Spillway, and it's just been too much Jackpot at this point here, Rissa. They just come in wave after wave. A really nice job of lining up special after special to keep this pressure on Last Resort.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. When it comes to Jackpot, whether it's playing defense like we're seeing right now or the offensive push that we saw initially, they are always making sure they have specials ready. And those specials, they're playing off of them really well too. You see this Tri-Strike come out on the left side. There's members there pushing through that Tri-Strike. So these specials are really, really coordinated and working out so great for Jackpot.
However, a nice little pickup for Last Resort. 3-1 on the map now, so that tower is going to slowly move back towards mid. But the question is, can they advance past mid here, 9? And so far, Jackpot has been there with an Inkjet or pressure coming from both the left and right-hand side of the map. And already, here comes the Crab, putting a lot of yellow ink onto that tower.
Yeah, and it's going to give Jared the opportunity to move up as well. Goes to try to chase down Char. That's once again going to buy space. These players, they're so good at dealing in units of space and time and seconds and how all this ends up connecting. They understand the composition and the anatomy of a push. So everything you've done that's good, you've managed to get a few points, but how long did it take you? How many specials did it take you? And what did you have to give up in return?
You saw Chara go down to .Q, that blast, as we said before, switching weapons, but has been just as effective as well too. However, Last Resort trying to get through that second checkpoint. That's the furthest they've advanced. 1v1 Wiper
took the
goes
tower.
down, and that is a key pickup, Rissa, because that tower was deep into jackpot territory and able to play some more defense.
It was, and if you saw too on the bottom right side, that was Arashi who jumped in and was able to play. I think Arashi jumped in off of a beacon, so good on Jackpot for shutting that down, because if Arashi was able to make a play happen off of that jump in, that could have gotten really, really deadly.
Yeah, 3-on-1, that's not going to work out too well as Jackpot loses another member. Last resort, just trying to push forward. 40 seconds left. Tower is in med. Here comes that Reef Slider. Tries to open things up just a little bit. Tacticooler is engaged. Tower is starting to advance. However, they're down a member, and they've got to pick up the splat here. That was critical by Chara. Chara trying to move forward, but goes down to the Rapid Blaster once again, 9.
That was the one that was needed right there. They had finally built some momentum. They
10
just
seconds.
needed to find a way to take out that defensive turret before it could get set up and get the specials where they wanted to. Not able to do that means they're going to have to go back to mid, back to the drawing board, and the first thing is, how do we fight through a triple ink strike? Not such an easy answer, and the last resort's creative, but ain't nobody found an answer to that one.
Yeah, it's hard to do when that
those
tower
are
becomes a
deadly.
lightning bolt for just some cyclones of yellow ink down the stretch of it. And so Jackpot racing out to getting the victory in game 1 over Last Resort, and they did it pretty convincingly. However, if you're Last Resort here, Rissa, you can't be too discouraged. You had a couple of opportunities.
Yeah,
It was just
you
Jackpot
can't.
picking up some
Let's see
key
what's the next
one-on-one
battle.
splats that really put the brakes on any push that they had.
Like, this is kind of looking reminiscent of when Last Resort played Starburst. You know, if they're able to chip away
They
at
won
the bricks
against
of the wall
Starburst the
that
first game,
Jackpot
and
is
then
right now,
it all
then
fell
they can
apart.
make something happen.
So, you know,
the same way
something
they
like
were
that,
able
I
to do
think.
for Starburst. So now that they have a feel for how Jackpot's playing, what weapons they're playing, maybe they'll have a better game plan going into the second game.
So Jackpot picks up the
Maybe.
win after picking up the mode here, 9. So now they've got the choice of the 3 other modes, which is nice for them because they can try and get out to a 2-0 advantage. And obviously they won tower control despite Last Resort picking the map. So if you are Jackpot, where do you feel pretty confident? Is this where you start to lean toward a cam blitz, possibly?
Well, we just heard on high, and it was the answer
Just
I was
as I
about
said
to
it.
give you too, which is splat zones. And I think now the interesting point is going to be what map we go to, and depending on the map, what are we going to end up picking? Because we have seen now twice they have gone to Hagglefish splat zones, them being Jackpot in this scenario, and both times they brought out that double ballpoint splatling composition with varying results.
Yeah.
They were able to beat Starburst, and then they lost to Duck Gang with it. So it sounds like that's not going to be the case, though. We're headed to a different map, Umami Ruins.
And once again, Umami Ruins providing more mobility for
Okay.
this Last Resort team. And Rissa, Undertow Spillway, a little bit similar to Eeltail Alley, where there's some choke points there. It's hard to really get east and west too much. Not the case in Umami Ruins. They're going to have a lot of room to maneuver, especially with these splat zones. And so this seems to favor
If you haven't yet, bredas,
Last
and if you
Resort and
appreciate
that
what I do,
composition
hit the
they have
like
that's
and the
built so
subscribe
much around
button.
speed
Follow
and
me on
mobility.
Twitch. Thank you so much for watching. Everyone
If
who has
they're
been
going to
watching.
be able to play around that mid block of Umami Ruins and maybe get some sharks and maybe
We're watching
get
the
some
Splatoon
jump-ins
3
with those sharks and play aggressively off of
Championship
that, I could really see that
Qualifiers.
being in their favor.
Two
They're just going
teams
to
are
have to figure out
getting
some
tickets.
way to play
Two
it like
tickets.
that and
One
jumble
ticket
up
each.
what Jackpot is doing.
And with Jackpot,
Two teams.
we saw that they aren't afraid to switch weapons up here, 9. You look at tower control, you make the switch to the Rapid Blaster. Now I imagine you'll go
One
back to
team
kind
already
of more of what you
qualified.
do traditionally
You got
as
a
far as
ticket.
having that Splash-O-Matic and being a
And
front
this is
liner,
the
but
last
that is the
pair of
beauty in
teams
Jackpot. They
battling
can
for the
adjust what they
second
need to
ticket.
do based upon
Let's
the
see,
map
Bredas.
and the mode, and that's what really separates some of the great teams from the good teams.
Yeah, and I'll go ahead and give some credit as well to the players who have stuck with essentially the same
Yeah.
weapons, right? Because you need the foundation if you are going to change things up. And my teammates are changing things. They're going with this comp for this map, with this pick for this map. I have to stick with what my role is and not change. So to Jared and Madness, who have stuck with their main weapons and allowed Leafy and .Q to go, that's the mark of a team that trusts each other and have so many hours of experience and reps together.
Well, just under 10 seconds left here. It is going to be Splat Zones and Umami Ruins, and this was the mode choice for Jackpot. They feel confident in the zones. You said it before. We saw the double ballpoint Splatlings in the last couple of zones opportunities for
go.
them with, well,
This
less
is
than
it, my
consistent
brothers.
results. They avoid that this time, 9.
They do indeed. Let's take a look. My love
But
is
you mean
back
YouTube
out
is
the
not
slotting
receiving enough
machine.
streaming?
It is not all the way gone. You
Shut
can
up,
nerf it in
YouTube.
every which way, but that main hitbox is still going to be absolutely devastating to deal with, and it still has a fantastic kit for this map and mode in particular. Interesting to note here, though, we are going to see them put away the tacticaler this time. They're going to try to fight with normal respawns.
And so for last resort, they will hang on to that tacticaler still. That is really the foundation of what they try to do. And so far, it's been Jackpot racing out to the lead here, Rissa.
Yeah, Jackpot initially running in and capping the zone. Right now, both zones are in one team or the other's favor, but finally, paired with that Booyah Bomb, Jackpot is able to use that Booyah Bomb, create a wall off of that, and then cap the zone again for themselves. They are counting down points right now
Yeah,
with no
they're
penalty.
going fast.
And right
Put it
now, it's
as
been
fast
Jackpot
down
full
and they're all the way
control.
back.
Last resort, just trying to find that opportunity where they can stack their specials together and try and break through what Jackpot has built up. You see a lot of yellow ink and just the leverage in the ground. They've got every option covered, it feels like, right now, 9.
Yep, and that's going to make it even more difficult to fight through. They are lucky that they have that tacticaler because it's going to give them maybe one more opportunity to fight through. They found a matchup they like with Arashi going at .Q, but the other members respawned in time. Now Leafy is punishing Chara. They are fighting through. If they win this cleanly, they are going to have a great opportunity to put this one to bed. They're going to need to take out Arashi here, but the point's still coming off the board, and they have a special they can use that'll fire it right now.
Booyah Bomb coming out, trying to aim
And
for
the
that
Booyah
little bit of a
Bomb, 10
choke point near
seconds.
spawn where that ramp is coming down. Waiting
This
for the
is
last
a
moment to
KO
use
out
it.
of
4
control,
seconds left.
3
and
minutes
Jackpot
left.
get the KO. Oh, they lose control at the last minute.
What?
Chara trying to come in with the
What?
reef slider. Too little, too late. It's
Yeah.
Jackpot.
Wow.
Triple sevens for them as they pick up game number 2 and take a commanding 2-0 lead.
2-0.
And,
If they win the
was
next, it's
pretty impressive and pretty
over.
dominant right there, Rissa.
Well, I think so.
It was.
then, like, they
Once
can only
Jackpot got
do
control
more
of
and
the
that's
zone,
it.
they
So,
had eyes on
3 out of
everything.
5.
They had eyes on that left high drop. They had eyes on that initial middle part where people tend to come into the
And
zone.
thank
and
you
then also
everyone who
that
was
right
here.
drop.
Give me
You
like
could see
3
members
6 people.
of
Give me like
Last
thank
Resort
you
were
to
trying
this.
to hide in that right drop area.
If you're
but
watching
when
and
they
it's
saw
not
from
live,
Madness's
hit
point
the
of view,
like
Madness
button.
instantly
Hit it.
used his
It's
Booyah
okay.
Bomb, threw it out, and then had eyes on that right side. You could
It
see
doesn't matter
they were
to the
communicating
YouTube,
really
it-
effectively and
It's
watching
the same
all
thing.
angles.
Somebody
And
gave
that's
me a
really
like.
what
That
was the story
matters.
of this one, 9. Even from the vantage point when we switched to any last resort player,
Doesn't
you
matter
look
if
at
you
the
were here
zones
while
and
I
they had
was
somebody
live
on
or
top
not,
of
brothers.
mid,
What
left,
matters
and
is
right,
are
and
you
then somebody
watching.
pushing forward, and it was going to take considerable
And
effort
if you
for
haven't
Last Resort just
subscribed,
to
also
approach the
consider
zone, let alone take it
subscribing. Not
over.
only because of the
Yeah,
fun
everything
and
that we
the
said earlier
entertainment,
about Clan Blitz on Imani
but
Ruins,
also
about how
because
difficult
I'll
it can
be
be
giving
simply
away
to fight back in
prizes.
the mid. That's
How
all
you
the more
ask?
so in splat
Easy.
zones where the
You
opponent
need
has
to enter my
really no
giveaway, my
incentive to go
Plinko
too far ahead
giveaway.
of the zone.
I have a
Everywhere that you're going to try
Splatoon
to push
3
from, they'll have
giveaway
eyes on you. They can fire upon
under
you.
my page,
And Jackpot did
winning with
exactly
Froggie.
that. So
Here
we're
on
going to go into Clan
YouTube.
Blitz here for
Find
the
it.
final
Leave a
stand of
comment
Last
there.
Resort.
on
Yeah,
the
we'll see if Last
400
Resort can pick this one
subscriber
up and force a
celebration.
game 4, and as we said, a
Plinko
lot
prize
on the
board
line here. It's
video.
that second trip
And
to
then
the
you leave the
Splatoon 3
message once you are
Championships
subscribed.
2023,
And
and
that's
that
it.
is a
That's
golden
it. You
opportunity
leave a
for
message, you enter
all these teams
automatically
involved to be a part of some of those
um,
monumental events.
to be
And, there's
selected
some
to
pressure there,
participate.
of course,
Alright?
but we've seen
And then I
Jackpot. They've
select
been in
one
this
of those
spot
people.
before, and sometimes
And
knowing how to
this
deal
person
with that
has
pressure
to
and what's
show
on
up
the
and
line
play
can
Plinko
really
on
help you
random
slow down and
Saturday that I
relax
put
and
on
play
the
your
rules.
game, I imagine.
And that's it.
Oh, absolutely.
And
Patience
then
at
you
this
can
high of a
win that
level is
Saturday.
so
You
key.
can
If
win
you want to get to
the
a high
prize.
level in Splatoon, you have to have that
You just
patience
have to
know.
land on a
Okay,
prize.
just
It's
sit back,
Plinko.
take a deep breath, and
Have
we
you
can
ever
do
watched
this.
that?
That is going to be key.
At the
moving
prices,
forward.
right?
And so 9, we've got Clan Blitz. You look at the
Anyway,
potential
here we
loadout
go.
that we see as we go to
Jackpot is
Museum della
seemingly
Frontino,
advancing.
and
We
what
will
are you
see what
looking for
happens.
if you are
Thank you
Jackpot to
everyone
put
that
this thing
watched
to
for
bed,
so
as I
long,
said?
and
How do
that
you wanna make
gives
sure there's
me
no opportunity
so much
for Last
support. Thank you,
Resort
Bredas.
to try and reverse
This,
sweep this,
this
or have
is
any
truly
glimmer
what
of
keeps
hope.
me going.
I mean, you control the pace in the same way that you have before, right? I think that .Q being on these long-range blasters has completely changed the dynamic of how they were able to identify where the members of Last Resort are attacking from. It's one thing to know where they're at. It's one thing to have to dedicate half of your tank to throwing a bomb at where someone is going.
And
It's
like I
another
say,
thing when
I
you have
just
a
know
nice
that
big hitbox.
I'm
Jordan,
more
you and I play this
beautiful, more
weapon. We know
likable than
exactly
Kim
how it is.
Kardashian's butt
You hit
cheeks.
somebody, suddenly
Just
they
not
have
enough
to
of
move
you
back.
know
You
that I
direct somebody,
exist.
and suddenly they are
The
on
more
the
of
back
you
foot.
know that
She's
I
done such a
exist, the more of
fantastic
you
job
are
of
gonna
opening
just-
avenues up for
it's
her
gonna like
teammates
the
to move
channel,
through.
right?
I think you, again, kind of go back to that. Control the pace of the map.
It's gonna be great.
Don't let any of the tricks come through. Don't let Arashi jump into a beacon that you missed. Keep it
'Cause I
simple.
know I
Take
am
care.
way
No tricks coming through.
more,
They can
like,
tacticooler all they
likable,
want if they keep running into you.
handsome.
And Rissa, obviously, we aren't mind
Beautiful.
readers. We don't
All
know
those.
exactly what Last Resort is going to do, but
Then came Spot.
I mean, you're down
Jesus.
2-0.
I
Do
know
you
that.
try something drastic here, something that's
Sorry,
quite a
Kim.
departure of what
That's
you've
the
done
truth.
before? Do you kind of stick
You
with
know
what
it,
you're trying to do?
you
as
watch it,
try
you
to
know
figure out
that.
this new direction of the meta?
Chewy, like,
You know, I think this far
How-
into the
what was it
tournament, I think you're going to want to be sticking
Something
with
like that.
what you have been
You
playing.
right,
You know,
he's right.
it has worked out here and there for them, but it's what they're comfortable
like
with, and
it.
maybe moving forward,
But
they'll
it's
play the
like
same
right.
weapons, but just switch up their
something
game
like that.
plan when we
I
head
think
into
that's
this
how
game.
she talks.
Clam
Here we
Blitz
go.
Museum Del
Pretty?
Foncino. A chance for Jackpot to get the sweep and head to the Splatoon
This is
3
it. If
2023
Jackpot wins,
championships.
it's
Last
over. The
resort.
other team is
Well,
demoralized.
They're going to have to rely on their last resort if they want to
Hit
keep this
in
thing
the
alive.
gut.
They're down 2-0. Early on, taking a look, 9 anything stand out to you about these loadouts?
Well, everything that I said about the blaster, you can toss to the wayside. Q has gone back over to the ballpoint, which is a fine pick by any stretch, but it has also allowed Leafy to switch back over to the Splatana Stamper, another one of the very powerful weapons in the last patch that did receive a bit of a nerf. You'll note again, though, that the strong users of that weapon can still make it work at a high level. So that is a pick that we have seen quite often on this map and mode throughout every map and mode.
Jackpot had 19
Laps him
clams,
up.
but they lose a member. They still have the advantage. That Stamper comes out here for last resort, but then down they go. So far, they've just been trading back and forth some specials. Nobody has really tried to threaten with that power clam yet, Rissa.
Yeah, no one has really threatened anything. You can see .Q is holding on to this power clam, and I love that she's just kind of waiting for them to have the advantage. And with them getting 2 members down of Last Resort, .Q is able to push forward, scoring that power clam that she held in for so long. And the remaining members of Jackpot, they're scoring in those clams that they were holding on to as well.
Yeah, significant push early on. You get past that 2 power clam limit, and that's what you're
56
looking for in
on
that
that 3
opening
minutes.
push here, 9. And so Jackpot, the damage has been done, and that's going to be 44 points for them as they take the 56-100 lead. Now even more pressure on Last Resort at this point.
I mean, that's got to be so frustrating. You finally stopped them and you were able to take 3 of them out. And then suddenly the last one that you didn't take out was the beacon for the super jumps for everybody to come right back in and continue the pressure. You think you just defended? Well, guess what? You got to do it again.
And here they come.
Yeah, I hate
Jackpot
when they
filling up that
camp like
basket.
that.
They erase the penalty, able to build onto
There's
their
one
lead just a
hiding
little
in
bit.
the
More
corner.
importantly, they're
Everyone's
just
super
controlling
young.
the flow of this game so far.
I'm
Rissa.
salty, I know I'm
Last Resort
salty because
just
I lose a lot.
scrambling to protect
Whatever.
their base. They can't even think about offense at this moment.
Yeah,
I'll be fine.
Last Resort,
I
they're
promise.
just consistently stuck in their flat spinner area
I'll
here.
just be
We
salty.
see them in, and they, like you said, they haven't
Pretty
even been
much.
able to think about getting into
That's
mid,
it,
getting a
Riz.
push in. They are holding on to clams, which is really, really important. See, they have 15 clams there at the top left of the screen, but they haven't even been able to get into mid. Jackpot is holding it
I
down.
love camping.
Just over 2:30 left. They're trying to jump in here. Arashi with that Stamper behind, and
They did
that
it,
worked
they
out pretty
did
well.
it,
They're able to get a
they
power
were
clam in, and
camping.
here comes the
They were-
cavalry, and all of a
they
sudden,
were
Last Resort
camping and
storms
they-
ahead to
they
take the lead,
flipped
9.
How, what year is it here? We're
Yes,
jumping
yeah.
into an ultra stamp.
Somebody was
Listen,
hiding
not many
right
people can
behind
use
the
that
goal. You
ultra
see the
stamp better
purple
than Arashi
mark.
can. He's been doing it for so long,
They
but
were right there.
they knew and were building just enough of those clams. Rissa called out exactly how many they had. I was kind of
Right
curious
behind
why
the
they were
mark.
trying to build up so much and play so passively, but hey, if you can junk them all in
they
and get
just
the lead, the
did.
entire rest of the game
Ooh.
looks different.
And how
Oh,
about
well, these
that
people
goes
scored and they
right by
die,
the
they
Reed
die.
Slider, opposite directions. Now they just need one more clam to take the lead.
They take the lead.
Jackpot takes it right back with under 2 minutes left. A bold move.
Very
Favors
bold
the aggression
indeed.
as Jackpot
1
now
minute
takes a
and
narrow
a half
3-point lead. And
left.
Rissa, it's starting to heat up here because Last Resort, we saw how much time and coordination it took
And
them.
here they go
Jackpot
again.
can
This
put
is what you do
tremendous
with us.
pressure on
You
them if
don't
they can
stop.
get another clam in the basket.
Yeah, Jackpot
more,
is
you do
already
it, do
putting
it.
all this pressure on them. They are
Pressure.
still in Last Resort's plat. They use that tacticooler, and I love that they used the tacticooler, scored that
These
clam in, and
people,
if they
look
went
at
down, they'd be
these
able to
people.
respawn right away.
How can they score so
Jackpot,
much?
again, opening up the basket, and the longer that Jackpot keeps this basket open, the more time it's going to be that Last Resort needs to scramble to even get into mid, like we had talked about previously in the beginning of this game.
Yeah, Jackpot just chipping away, and we've seen a couple of gift clams that have gone out for last resort, but they can't capitalize on that because Jackpot just attacks so quickly right back at them. So here comes that Inkjet moving forward. Last resort, 3 members on the map at this point. Still 4 for Jackpot and 9. Are you going to play aggressive if you're Jackpot, or do you want to maybe come back to a defensive formation and just try to ice out last resort?
No, I think especially on a map like this where people have to drop down into mid if they want to keep moving forward, it behooves you to continue to attack, continue to move forward. And again, as long as you don't let any of the tricks go through, Arashi waiting here. He's the reason that these big pushes happened, and now he's going to be forced to reveal himself to try to defend, sensing the moment. But just like that, Jackpot doesn't march forward. They simply take mid, they hold on to it. No tricks this time.
Last resort, they have 13 seconds left. They're trying to build up their specials. They have 2 power clams. They could potentially take the lead. They need a little bit more help, though. They are trailing by 15, but you see the 29-point penalty. So it would be 2 clams plus these power clams if they want to take the lead. We're to overtime. 3 members left. Jackpot trying to get the sweep, trying to find their ticket to the championships. Jackpot just trying to hang on. Inkjet coming in. Dueling Inkjets at this point. They both land here in a moment. Jackpot just trying to find that opportunity, picking off one more member of Last Resort. Suction bomb comes out, but it's going to be Jackpot that picks up the 3-0 sweep and the second and final spot to the Splatoon 3 2023 championships. And coming into the tournament, the 2 top teams were Starburst and Jackpot.
Was
and it holds true as those 2 advance on.
I wanted somebody else besides Starburst to win.
Credit to Last Resort and Duck Gang, but at the end of the day, it takes a lot of skill and even more consistency
and then there was one ticket
to
left.
beat the top dogs here.
So I wanted my friends.
So many of these games riding on a razor's edge, a thin margin.
I wasn't considering
but it's no
anybody
secret
else,
that these better teams somehow end up coming out on top of every coin flip.
But you know,
it's the subtle stuff, them holding on, the timing of certain pieces, how much space you took. And again, like you said, a tip of the cap to all the teams that came out, competed here today. But these were the Blue Bloods. They held true. And man, I cannot wait to see another matchup between those 2 later this year.
All right, let's go ahead and check out the final bracket here after all the action. Nearly 3.5 hours. It was a fun-filled tournament, but it is Starburst and Jackpot
time to go.
Moving on. And, you know, let's start with you, Rissa, as far as what we learned. We saw a lot of different loadouts and some teams trying to sort of push the meta in a different direction. But what was your takeaway after all the fun that took place?
You know, I think it's going to take me a little while to digest what we saw there with the new Sizzle season being here. I think we definitely got a glimpse of what the meta could be shifting to. But, you know, something that does stand out to me is just it seems like there's still a place for Crab and Machine in the meta. It's just going to be interesting to see how, over the next couple of weeks, how that ends up playing out.
Nine, some closing thoughts, my friend?
Join us tomorrow at 10 p.m. Eastern Time, my friend.
What you're comfortable with.
At FRG TV, we'll be playing the challenge, Trizuka challenge.
Comp that I'm less familiar with, or one
so,
that's
you
maybe
know, I had to interrupt his brother when he said anything else to say.
I think we saw that again.
Please join us tomorrow. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate everyone who watched for so long. I'll be back playing the Trizuka challenge tomorrow at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. Like, subscribe, hit the notifications bell button. Thank you for watching the championship with me. I appreciate every single one of you. Please stay safe because I want to see you when I come back for more.
2023
at FRG TV.
Last resort, and maybe we'll see Duck Gang.
Thank you,
back in the
Bredas.
fold of things. But for myself, Nine, and Rissa, our wonderful production
and from these
team,
Bredas
thanks
also.
again for joining us. Don't forget to keep it tuned in to Nintendo Versus
tune in
for all
tomorrow.
Nintendo action.
I love it. All right, Bredas, take care. See you soon.
See you next week.
Bye-bye.